What's going on YouTube? It's going to be Dai coming to you from Masao, Japan. Pinku style. Got a very legendary OG guest. We just had OG guest on last episode, Bulu 123. Check that out if you didn't. And we got my guy Tommy here, Tommy Suell, and we got my guy Lex back, who is my co-host. Pretty much, Lex is not a guest anymore. He's a co-host. So we just go ahead and put that out there, man. So before we get into it, Tommy's story and everything else, man, guys, I am a dealer for Drifting Koku and Option Magazine. So if you guys want to get those in your shop, let me know. I get about 20 episodes a month. I mean, not episodes, with 20 books a month, and I can get more than that. Just go ahead and check me out down on that pinkostar.com to get those on subscription. And also, if you want to get your shoes and boots, this is Bridge Moto's nice Imperial flag. Some people don't like the flag because they did kind of bad stuff under their flag. So whatever, it looks cool. And yeah, just go ahead and check me out at down at pinkostar.com to order those and everything. Again, Tommy, man, thanks for your time, man. Again, brothers, it's good to speak to you. We've been talking on and off for a good amount of time, but naturally, man, you know, you're flying people around the world, so that's a pretty busy schedule, man. So overall, man, how's everything been? And what do you got going on, man?
It's been great. I mean, I'm currently now the CEO of the company, so I actually was able to make more time. So, hence the chaser now. Yeah. And, I'm going to get back into drifting for fun. I'm not trying to go Formula Drift or anything like that. I just want to go out and shred, and it's just so awesome to drive my chaser again and then relive the 90s for me. Back when I was in Japan, just, listening to the old 90s music and cruising, and it's all coming back, and I just missed it. So I'm just charging hard right now on it.
Yeah, man, because you're one of the go Alex.
Let's not breeze over the fact that he said he is the CEO. Now, no bullshit. I did Google. I was gonna Google a picture, and ask people like, "Yo, if you could ask this guy one question, what would it be?" And I got caught up just reading. That was the first thing on Google. Tommy Suell, CEO of AirSmart. I said, "Holy shit!" Yeah, that's dope, dude.
Yeah, man, it is. What's dope about it is the guys that back when you first got into piloting and everything, and doing commercial, and I knew you posted up about that, and it was my thought was man, I wonder if these people know their pilot is a drifter, and it's you probably don't bring it up because it's this guy's flying me around, this guy who drives cars at 180 mile per hour sideways next to people is flying me around, man. So all right, so let's go back, man, because again, I know the story of your dad being in Okinawa and all that stuff like that, man. So what was the start of your love for airplanes and then getting into cars and everything, man?
Yeah, so I was born in Japan, Okinawa, Japan. My dad raised me up there. He kept me out there in Japan to keep me out of trouble. So he didn't want me growing up and getting caught up in gangs and all that. So he left me in Japan, and he decided he retired there. He got a job on the base, SOFA status, and I just kind of lived under SOFA status law. So that whole time, he's been flying for before I was born, and I've been flying since I was a kid, and I just as soon as I turned 16, I was flying the airplane over the island by myself. I couldn't even drive a car legally off base till you're 18. So I had a private pilot license when I was 17. So I was flying my Japanese friends around the island, and they were just having a blast and couldn't even really drive a car. But when I did turn 16, I did buy a car. My first car was a Corolla, Hachiroku. Got it for $800, from a friend, and it was already had a 4-pin LSD in it, suspension, just ready to go. It was just my practice car. But being 16, I couldn't go to off base to go racing or practice or anything. So I would have my senpais take the car, take me to the spot. I go practice, and then they drive the car back on the base and park it for me. So I had to do that for about 2 years before doing anything. So I was always into drifting. By the time I was 12 years old, in middle school, all our friends, my Japanese friends, half friends, were all watching GTRs and all that on option video. This option was just starting back then, when I was watching it. I had the whole series on VHS tape, I don't know how many volumes, and I studied it and analyzed the drivers and why they were doing things with the side brake and timing. And then so when I got my Corolla, I just kind of picked it up for about a year and a half. We had this cemetery parking lot that we used to drift in, and I would go there in the late nights and practice just doing figure eights and donuts and stuff before I took it to the streets. And then once I turned 18, I was cut loose.
Yeah.
You know?
So you're crazy, man. So we bring up a few things, and number one, like you're a half breed. Not I got 5 half breeds and everything, man. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty, pretty cool thing. And I mean, it's one of those things I wanted to ask you. Growing up as a half breed, or people say different things. And when we say half breed, it's not a derogatory term. My mom, when I told my mom I had half breed, she was like, "They're not Dugs." I'm like, "Nah, dude, it's not. We're not we're not breeding pit bulls." But she didn't understand the terminology. And so how, like, for far as being a half, like, how was that aspect of it growing up in and plus being half in Okinawa, which is the whole Okinawa mainland Japan is a whole different thing we can get into, So how was that for you growing up being half?
So what was different? I'm actually half Thai.
Oh yeah. So you
I was going to say that if you have the Thai. So was that your father?
So my dad's full blown African American, obviously.
Okay.
And then my mom was half Thai and half Chinese.
Okay.
And then I was born and raised in Japan.
Right.
So, like, when I went to school, all my other friends were all half. So we all kind of blended in. We're just the big half groups, the big gaijins, the big foreigners when we walked around. And, yes, we did get in a lot of fights in middle school. High school, we didn't fight much. But middle school, it was, like, weird. We were going through that phase of, like, I went to a private school, and I had a uniform, a white and black uniform, just like Japanese students, and we went through this, like, fudio phase, where we're wearing, like, big bone-down pants and, like, banana pants and, like, cutting our little shaver heads and stuff like that, just, like, kind of being, like, the comic gangster, bad boy, Bosozoku type style. We were kind of doing that in middle school, and then we kind of grew out of it. But, yeah, being half in Japan was, I got called all kinds of sorts of names. I got called Kokujin, black guy, or Gaijin, go home. A lot of the other, like, we had a lot of issues with, like, the baseball team. They're really racist, they didn't like us at all. Like the high school and middle school baseball, they're just really strong, and they're a really strong group at the time. But other than that, I mean, once I went to a different high school, we didn't wear the uniforms. We were able to wear, like, U.S. casual uniform clothing, and it didn't stand out as much. But when we were wearing the uniforms back at the other middle school that I was, it was pretty, we looked like the bad guys, and then we got in a lot of fights and arguments with the local guys, or local kids at the time, We were just considered, like, punks, at the time. And then, and then it seems like we all were, we were all into skateboarding in those days. And then the tradition was, like, all our skaters and all our senpais that were skating started buying, race cars, and, we all looked up to them, and we just kind of kept the fad going. They were all half as well, and they were all buying nice, RX-7s and Skylines and stuff, and we just kind of followed suit as soon as we were able to. It was a pretty cool trend. But
it's cool that you picked up flying early, because isn't it kind of common for kids in the area or in Japan, period? I would assume, because from what I've read and seen, they get motorcycle license and scooter license early and go jam on 2 wheels before they get to 4 wheels.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can get your scooter license at 16 in Japan, and they would go that, and then when they turn 18, they get their card. Like I said, I was lucky enough to buy a car at 16 in Japan, which is, they gave me a base license, a U.S. license for just driving on base. And my house was, like, I lived off base, so every once in a while when I needed to work on the car, I would just drive home, just screw it, But I was, like, maybe a 15-minute walk from the base, from my house, from the gate. So I used to park my car at the gate, at the main gate on the base, and then walk. And then when I used to work at the BX Exchange early in the morning, so I would go walk to my car, go to work, and then come back. When I was 16, I dropped out of high school to go do homeschool, because back then the yen rate was kind of fluctuating, and private school, we're paying $3,500 a year, which back then was insane for school, so I just went to homeschool. So when I turned 16, basically went full-time homeschool. So I graduated homeschool, got out of the school there, because private school is so expensive. And then I was able to get a job, start working, and I would literally dump my whole paycheck in my car. And it was crazy. Like, I don't know how I got away with it. My dad was like, he supported me. He taught me how to fly when I was a kid, like I said, and I always had flying in the background, but I love the speed and I love the racing. When I was younger, he bought me a little motorcycle. I used to race my little motorcycle, pocket bikes, and we had like a pocket bike series from like ages 10, 8 to 5 to 8, and they're all souped up, like real on motorcycles, and we're racing, scraping knees and stuff. And I was racing that, and I was like the only guys doing it. And eventually that evolved into like, cars and stuff. I used to work down at the go-kart track. We had a go-kart track next door to my house as well, and I used to hang out there all the time. And they're little sliding drift carts, so I used to drift those, right? And this is before I really knew what drifting was, but we were already drifting. And of course, my senpais and all them, they were all drifting on the streets and stuff, and it just kind of grew into it. It was already there. Yeah. And then turned 18, bought an S13, upgraded that, and then this is like 1997, 97.
Oh, okay.
And drag racing was like the thing to do. It was all about Zeriola.
So yeah.
I had my C8. I was with one of the teams, the garages. It's called Ram Garage in Okinawa. Pretty good for drag racing and horsepower. I got like kind of taken in by his shoulder, the owner of the shop, and I used to drive for the owner. He had a GTS 4, but put an RB26 in it, so it was kind of a sleeper. And I would drive it for him. He let me drive his cars. He let me, because I don't want to sound like conceited, but I had like that skill of sense of like traction control and the sense of driving, and I think the drifting and stuff helped me get that, making me a faster driver quarter mile, because I knew how to control the traction and get the most grip with drag racing. So I would test the shop cars and stuff like that as well when I was there. He kind of took me under his wing, which was great because like he built some awesome cars for me, and I was there for as long as I can. My CA18, I think we dynoed at like 430 horsepower, and this is my daily driven car.
Yeah.
And we would go out, Saturday nights and Tuesday nights and drift drag racing. And then when the weather was shit, like either rain, I had a Sylvia Q's, and I would just go beat the shit out of the Q's, just nonstop, automatic, open diff, just running down. And the thing is like full bone stock, automatic, open diff, and I would go down to the street drifting and just tear it up, and people are like, "What the hell's in there?" It's like, it's Altamont. They just freak out, and there's a Q on top of that, old stocks. It's just, and I'm just tearing it up. And I had a couple friends on like a couple of the Japanese teams that were just like dogging like their other team players, like they're making excuses like he doesn't have enough power, and then they turn around and look at me, look at him, he's got a freaking Q, so fast, So I drove it like a Corolla.
At this point, it was like you fully knew, were aware, understood drifting techniques, and you're like, I got this shit. I'm good to go. So you considered yourself a drifter at that point.
Yeah, I was drifting and drag racing. I did both, right? So back then, D1 didn't even exist yet. Right. It was all Ika 10s option video, and we just always watched it, always admired it. Like I said, I've been watching option videos since 1990. I want to say 93, 94. Like literally, I had like the first series, the first volume, and we watched it and studied it all, and that's how I picked it up. And then drifting was, like I said, with my go-kart background prior to that, I was already sliding and linking stuff with that, because my senpais were drifting, and they were kind of like, this is tandem and all this kind of stuff, right? So it kind of just evolved and happened naturally. But drag racing was really big at the time, and like I said, when we couldn't go racing, I didn't drift my drag car, obviously. I had so many chassis back then. By the time I was 18, I'd been through like 7 or 8 chassis already, just trading, dealing. I mean, I had a 300ZX, which I put twin S14 turbines on, and then it was just for speed. I just wanted to go fast. I put a full Bellside body kit on it, and it was pretty fun.
Back when everything was cheaper, man. Because all that stuff you mentioning now, like you mentioned the Hachiroku for Hachiman, like now what Nishaku Gojimon. That's crazy. That's getting started.
Like, I had like 2, like even like this. But back then, even though like even the Z, I was tuning the Z, and I had to buy a new engine for the VQ engine, and that was $1,000. But back then, for me, that was still unattainable easily. I was making like $500 a month or something, at the time. I was like, man, this sucks, So, but yeah, the prices now, like, a VQ back then was $1,000, and I was just like, damn it,
You can't even find a VQ now. Oh, you look on Yahoo Auctions, which is like the plug, is maybe 1 or 2 VQs. I had Lexus on. It was about maybe 20 episodes ago, and there was like maybe 513Bs in a whole Japan. Like, so they're not around, man. So like everything is scarce. All the parts are, is pretty. I've been there 14 years now, and like again, you were here, back in the time. And so you left. You were about 20, early 20s when you left Japan and went to the States, right?
Yeah, I left in 2003, so I was like 22 years old.
Yeah, I just graduated high school.
So what was the motivation that you're like, I'm out of here, I'm going to America?
So after '99, I graduated homeschool. My dad was like, okay, I'm done. He's like, I need to go back to the U.S., buy a house. He lived in Japan. We rented, we don't buy house. We're foreign, right? We don't buy homes in Japan. So like he went to the U.S. and came to Las Vegas and wanted to start a new life. And I was like, I'm not ready. I'm gonna go to school. So I actually got accepted at the university, Japanese University, Meiyo Daigaku. So I went to the Daigaku and I went there, got a international visa. Student visa. So they gave me a student visa. So I stayed there for an extra 3 more years, just goofing off. And so like at that whole time, I was just, from 18 to 21, just playing with cars, going to school, sort of, and then working. And I ended up getting a job working. I worked at the beach. I used to drive boats for wakeboarders, jet skis. I did the marine staff thing, scuba diving, snorkeling, and all that stuff. I worked at the beach. Beach in Okinawa was nice, and then the school was right there, so I was doing both jobs. So I started making okay money to play with more cars, and I just played with cars, went to school, and was just living the life in Okinawa.
Yeah.
My only problem is that after a while, realized there was no real future for me there in Okinawa. It was all, I needed to make a career, right? And I wanted to join the military and be an Air Force pilot and maybe get stationed back in Okinawa so I could come back, right? But that didn't work out, so I ended up moving back to the United States. Moved in with my dad, he helped me out, and then like 6 months after, he had his accident, he passed away. And that's when everything turned. I came back to the U.S., never lived in the U.S., came straight to Vegas, new lifestyle. I'm from the island of Okinawa, it's like 60 miles long, right? That's how big this town is, basically. And so it was like a whole new eye-opener thing for me. Hang on.
It's all good.
Lights went out.
All good. Oh, man. Yeah. Let's see what we got.
Sorry. So moved out to Vegas, had to take over, basically took over everything my dad did. My dad gave me my license to fly. I got that when I was 17, obviously, but I just took, you take things for granted when your parents give you things, and until you lose them, you realize what you have.
Right.
Obviously, my basic license wasn't going to give me a job, and so I had to literally go out and find a job, and I started working aircraft refueling. I didn't have the money to finish up the rest of my flight training to go as a commercial pilot or anything like that, so I just kind of hung out for a little bit. And then that's the time when I ran into a couple friends here in Vegas, and they were just starting the club, Vegas Drift Club. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, I drift all the time, what the hell?
Yeah.
And they're like, a couple of my friends like Ken, Mike Bomack,
Is Brian over there too? Brian Young? Is he in Vegas or
Brian Young.
Arizona?
No, I think Arizona.
Arizona, okay, yeah. It's part of the...
No, wait. I can't recall.
He's in that whole little circle with Hosfer and all those guys, are the Maximus Drift podcast guys.
Oh,
they're I think they're Arizona, Vegas. I can't remember.
Yes, I ran into those guys, and they had Mike had a Corolla. I was like, oh shit, Corolla, and it's all left-hand drive. I'm like, my dad actually bought a 240 SX when he came here, so I had a bone stock 240 SX when I got here, but he was driving it, and so I was like, well, I need to get a car, so I didn't know what to get, so I ended up buying some $500 MR2. You know, that was a Toyota.
Yeah.
I'll cruise around. But then I got the 240, and then the like hand-clipped tires came out like 2000, like the end of 2003, 2004. Hand-clipped tires came out to the speedway to do a drift event.
Yeah.
And there's like, it was open, right? And I'm like, okay, sure, I'll enter. Once again, you know, full bone stock 240SX open diff 2.4 liter, but this time it was 2.4, so I actually had more power than the K8 NA, you know, or not the C8.
Oh, CS.
Yeah, I had a C8 Qs.
Oh, okay.
Like,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way back then.
yeah.
So like the 2.4 liter, I was like, oh, this got more torque than the freaking C8. So I was like, you know, and drifting was still new back then in the U.S. that no one really knew what they were doing. People brought Corvettes out. Some guys knew what they were doing, but they didn't know how to really slide. And like I said, I brought this automatic bone stock 240, and I won the competition with it, like just through the course, you know. And they're all like kind of like, what the hell, you know. So, and I actually won a couple of the competitions with that car bone stock in that category. They had like a beginner class. I don't know what kind of class they had, but my car was stock.
Because you were definitely like, go ahead, Lex.
Yeah, back then it was kind of like the Wild Wild West. It was a free. It was like driver searches. It was.
We had driver searches. D1,
Calvin Wong, all those guys, man.
And then so I was like, you know, I had that itch for. And this is before I found the drifting. I had the itch, you know. I didn't know what to do, so I was like, maybe I should try NASCAR or something. So I actually went to the Speedway and was looking around and ran into a couple of guys, a couple houses down from my house. He had a legend car. You know, I don't know if you know what the legend car. It's kind of like what I'm getting my girls now. So he was doing that. So I actually started doing that. I bought a car, and I actually did a couple laps, and then drifting like somehow popped up. I found it. And D1 just came to the U.S. and I was like, "Fuck!" Like, how? Like, wait a minute. Like, how do I go register? I don't like. I know how to drift. Like, how do I get involved in this series? Like D1s, they already had all the driver search. I missed it all, right? So I was a little late to that beginning first of the game. And of course, like I just came out of the blue. No one knew who I was, you know.
Right.
Just out here in Vegas, I just kind of showed up. But the Vegas scene was, you know. Since I had the experience, I kind of helped bring the Vegas scene up and helped the Vegas drift guys. And we started running events, and then I bought a Corolla and I just kind of brought it up. And then, Vegas drift now, it's like, you know, on a different level now.
Yeah.
But it was a fun journey. You know, I came here once again, and then, you know, my 240 was like kind of getting beat up. It was still stock. I left it stock. And eventually I found the Corolla again. In the U.S. I wanted it, and then convert, and I've been driving Corolla ever since.
Yeah.
Like,
so tell me about when you found out about FD. You found out you can get into FD, and your decision to run the car that you ran in FD,
along with Yoshioka and a few other guys.
Yeah. So Yoshioka, at the time. It was more not Yoshioka. It was like the guys I knew with Corolla by then was me and him, we crashed into each other in Long Beach in like 2007 or something. Takoyono, yeah. So like, you know, Takoyono, you know, he was inspiring and all that, and then of course you know. Drifting, you know, Dory King, Keiichi, you know, and all of them were inspiring. And then, like I said, I was just so comfortable in the Corolla because that was my first car and drifting, and I just wanted to bring that out. And you know, 2005, 2004, I'm seeing Formula E drift. I'm seeing guys like Ken Bushi show up, and I'm like, man, I need to get out there. But like I said, I was in Vegas. Nobody knew who I was because everybody was all the excitement was down in SoCal. If you didn't, if you weren't at SoCal and getting in like with those guys and they didn't know who you were, you can't just show up to a Formula Drift event. So eventually they started doing the Pro-Am thing, and then I kind of went through their point series and hooked up with Just Drift with Charlie and Just Drift and stuff, and drifting with them a lot. And then eventually I got my Pro-Am license, and then I got my license finally. and then there went full on with my Corolla. But Taka was out there. I knew Taka as well, and everybody was kind of shocked because like I came out and I speak fluent Japanese, and they're like, "Where is this guy from?" So I always had it in with all the Japanese drivers because I spoke the language, So, which is pretty funny.
Hey, real quick, I want to take a little step back, man, because you brought up your dad, and for the people I've known you for a little bit, and I know like I've seen the story of your dad and everything. The one thing about it that you guys, I mean, you probably don't know about Lex, your dad was a Air Force mechanic, and your dad flew in the Air Force, or was he a contractor, Tommy?
No, so my dad was actually security.
Okay.
Yeah, he retired Chief Master Sergeant or something like that.
Okay.
But he did 22 years in the military. He went to Vietnam. Got out of Vietnam. He was an avionics technician for like C-130s or something like that. And then when he got out of that, he went to base security. He was basically a top.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's what he did. And he retired like back in 86 or 85.
Yeah.
And then he went full-time pilot at the Kadena Aero Club, which is the base club for aircraft rental for civilians or military personnel. So that's how we did our flying in Japan.
Got you. Cause I didn't find out until like I had Brian Smith on, and I all this time I was talking to Lex. I didn't know Lex was a plane junkie, and then what I mean, that's like he just be this and be that. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? What are you talking about, dude? And he's like throwing all these acronyms around. Like I didn't know this whole time we're going to talk. Me and Lex met playing Gran Turismo. That's how we met, and and that's been years, and we've been acquainted, man. So it's pretty crazy, man. That planes is
and low key, because I've been following Tommy for years, and when he changed his IG to Planes Junkie, you don't know how happy.
Shout out to his YouTube, by the way.
Oh, this motherfucker flies! So I was like, and because
I think I was my username like Deja Vu Drifting or something like that before?
Yeah, you're talking 2013. I don't even remember. That was mad long ago because you went like plain out. I was like, at first I was like, damn, no more Corolla content.
Yeah.
But then I was like, flying though. Like it was your videos. So they're always so funny to me because you have this resting face where it's just like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's with it's like it's nothing. It's a breeze. So when you're flying and you're doing your loops and you're pulling a couple of maneuvers and maybe you get a little bit of heavy G load, your face is still like it's all good. And this is like love watching those videos. Because you don't say anything, right? Like you say nothing at all, and you're just jamming in this plane. What kind of plane is that for people that don't know what your primary aerobatic plane?
My aerobatic airplane is a Christian Eagle. It's a 2-seater biplane. It's home built, custom built, and then I purchased. I didn't build it, unfortunately, but I bought it already assembled and everything. So I was, plus it was like my second plane I bought. The first plane was just like a family wagon plane that I have. But I wanted to do aerobatics, and aerobatic flying is really expensive. Like to go rent an airplane, you're talking about $400 an hour to rent an airplane.
Wow.
So I was like, hell, that's a payment on an airplane. I just buy an airplane at that, and I can fly as much as I want, right? So that's what I did. I just went out and bought my own airplane, and I practiced on my own and kind of self-taught. But I always had it. I never flown upside down until till recently, like 5 years ago. I've always flew, but I knew my limits. I wasn't gonna go roll a Cessna, just
right. Yeah.
it's people do it. It's just that's not me. I was like, I'll just wait till I get the right plane, and once I got the right plane, I was set loose. It was like I was free. I was like free to do whatever I wanted in the sky, and that's when it all changed, like technical wise. Like I knew I had technical skills because I've been flying for so long since I was a kid. But when I got an aerobatic airplane, I really knew the actual boundaries because I actually take an airplane straight up and didn't let it fall and still fly the plane or spin it. And once you take an airplane to those limits, it's like a whole new. You can take those skills to like your regular day job and like understand it. And that's what I try to teach my pilots nowadays. It's like, you guys are still at this different level. You guys aren't seeing, and you still have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
I've learned.
Because you're on both playing fields, though, right? Aside from when you're doing your commercial flying, what do you tell ATC when you're about to go up and occupy airspace doing
there
wild?
go those acronyms, man.
Oh, air traffic control.
Yeah, I know.
You tell air traffic control because you have to tell.
There's locations out there in the desert
Right.
that are at our own control. It's a free for
Oh,
all.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I do, just the south west side of Vegas, I do have a special box that I have permission from the FAA to use, and I can open up this airspace. And this special box allows me to fly inside it all the way down to the ground and all the way up to like 6,000 feet and do whatever I want. That's a special waiver that I have for that airspace. Not a lot of people. So like when you see me doing something like inverted, like 5 foot off the ground inside that airspace, it's totally legal. The average person can't do that. The FAA has all these strict rules. You only have to be like 500 feet, 1,000, 1,500 feet for airbag.
Yeah.
So like, because I was able to get that arranged and have my own private box like that, I'm able to practice all kinds of low level maneuvers and flying, which is kind of like, seems like reckless flying or something, but that's like, it's like what I live for, It's like whether it's drifting, high speed, getting, it's all the same.
Yeah.
And I'm used to that. So like when I get down low and fly through like canyons and I'm like literally like 3 feet off the ground with my wingtips just screwed down the canyon, it's just natural, it just, you learn, you get, with flying, racing, and all the other hobbies that I do a lot of like extreme sports, kind of like single player sports. It depends on the actual athlete, right? And I noticed all that takes a lot of coordination and anticipation and judgment. And those judgment skills is what makes you exceed in whatever sport you're doing. So you have that good judgment and you can predict things and read things ahead and you're thinking ahead, then you can proceed with those types of speeds and extreme sports, and I take that along. If you have poor judgment or bad reaction times and stuff like that, then you might get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
And that's why I can teach the kids now, my girls. I got them these little carts, they're racing around, and that's to get them their reaction time and up to speed, and they're out flying too, doing the same thing. And,
I love that.
I mean, we can't glaze over the fact that the video that you put out went viral. When you, I can't remember which one, but you had them up there flying, and that video just went crazy. I think Oprah talked about it or something like that, or somebody.
Yeah, so they're.
Yeah.
She was like 2 years old.
Yeah.
And I just that was just a fun video, right? Like, hey,
never know, man.
For a 2-year-old, she was able to like understand the commands. I was like, go open the door. She's like, open the door. Go sit in, put your seatbelt on. She'll like, go tow the plane. For a 2-year-old, she was like comprehending everything. So I just videotaped it. And that thing had like 40-something million views. I was like, Jesus.
That's awesome, man. It's awesome to be able to do, because we all similar, man. We all got kids, and like I'm waiting the delivery of PW50 right now, but they'll wait for me to get done with this. But the like Lex bikes and cars, myself now bikes and cars, yourself bikes, cars, airplanes, space shuttles, everything, dude. Like it's like
space shuttles
to be able to. For me, man, to be a father now, and like 10 years ago, I was never having kids. Now I got 5 kids and a wife, and to be able to see their face when I give them a bike or take them in a car, or I bring a customer's RX-7 yellow, like the Cascade brother or the Takashi brothers, and they got their little car there, or Hachiroku. To be able to do that for your kid, man, it's an awesome feeling, man. So for you, man, like with your daughters and everything, man, and just flying in general, man, because I never flown a plane solo. What's your general feeling, man, of like freedom, like when you're up there in the air? Is it like similar to being on a bike, or is it just unmatched as far as freedom?
I mean, it's like being on a bike, but like I said, there's no one around me to like run into me or anything. I mean, there's other airplanes out there that can hit me. That happens,
Yeah.
I mean, but it's when I was cut loose in my own airplane that does aerobatics, I mean, literally for like, my flying career when I was a kid all the way till I finally got my own airplane to do aerobatics, I had to fly straight and level.
Yes.
And that was like locking me down.
Right.
It locked me down. It's like, as much as I want to roll it and go free, I'm not free. Even though you can go get your license and go fly around, you might think you're free, but you're not free until you can go spin around the airplane and no one can say anything to you, and you fly upside down. If I want to fly inverted all the way down, just, wherever I'm going, and just do whatever I want. And that's when I really, enjoyed it a lot more.
So that's like touching back to what Donnie at first said, you being a commercial pilot.
Yeah.
You fly. I know this is still commercial, but it's more or less private what you do right now?
Yeah, so we do private charter.
Yeah.
So we do like VIP flying, yeah.
Gotcha. So going back to what Donnie was saying, when you're in that pilot seat commercial with the bigger planes that you were flying, and people not knowing that the dude in that pilot,
he's a wild guy, dude.
He's walking a fine line of sanity, and he could just loop the plane and roll it over, on his wing, do an extreme turn with a high load for all the passengers.
A lot of my clients actually do know that.
Mm-hmm.
And they do know it, and they actually enjoy it because they know, like, if something were really, really bad to happen,
you're all
he's
good.
The guy you want up front.
Yeah.
So has anybody knocked on the door and been like,
"Hey, man,
hey, loop it up for
me"? I mean, we joke about it all the time, but obviously but they always talk about it. But but the thing that really was that I'm addicted to right now was I was able to combine flying and racing into one. Because I don't know if you know, recently I've been racing at the Reno Air Races in my little race plane.
Yeah.
That's a rush. And I only get to do it twice a year, and that's just like, now I'm putting all those skills I learned in the past, flying, and then lines for racing. When I raced when I was a kid, when I was racing my little pocket bike, that's how I learned how to read and see lines for courses when I was on the course.
Yes,
sir. Because on a motorcycle, you only got that one wheel, right? So that's how I learned how to apex and everything when I was a kid, was right racing the motorcycles, and I just carried it over to the cars, and now I'm carrying it over to airplanes, which is like, because now I got these 6 pylons, I got to hit them just right. I can't bang it, yank it, I can't. And every small correction loses airspeed, so it's finessing in that, and I'm just really cracked up on that. So I've been working on the airplane. This year I finished 3rd place in the gold, which is pretty shocking for me. Surprisingly I made it that far, but rest now is just money and more power, right?
Yeah, because I was gonna say, because people don't understand that game. Airplane games kind of like golfing. You could look at golfing and be like, looks kind of simple, but you don't know how much money is behind that golfer. It's the same thing with the airplanes and speedboats. You don't know how much money is sitting behind that pilot, his plane, and all the preparation going up to that day. So you being the guy in the home-built plane and been flying since he was a kid, to go and do something like that's a very big achievement when you're not playing with such deep pockets as your competitors,
Yeah, like Reno Air Races is like the Formula Drift for drifting. What I mean. Obviously you have Red Bull Air Races. Right. That's a whole another class of level. But those guys don't even race each other. They're racing the clock and racing time, right? Reno Air Races, we got airplanes, 8 airplanes. We're all back stacked up.
Yeah.
We have certain rules. We can't pass from the inside because that's way too dangerous, because you're going to cut a pylon and smack each other. So we have to pass from the outside, which makes it even harder because you have to go extra farther because of the extra distance traveled, right? So, but, I race in a biplane class, which is actually the most difficult class because we have 2 sets of wings. When I'm turning, my top wing blocks my view.
Yeah.
And my bottom wing blocks my view, so I got this little tiny window, and I have to keep my other plane in sight. So when you're flying side by side, I can't just turn straight and level. I really have to bank up to look down on it.
Yes, sir.
So there's all kinds of like techniques involved. I mean, it's like NASCAR too. I wind up, I get staged, I slingshot past, on the straightaway. It's pretty gnarly, And then if you get behind another plane, you get bounced with this wake turbulence and everything, and that could slow you down a lot and really ruin your day. It could actually flip you inverted, and we're 50 feet off the deck, and you end up inverted. You got to know how to recover.
Yeah.
Because there's been planes that literally just smack the ground, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
You can see it on YouTube. You Google like 2013 guy coming around the finish line. His elevator like trim came off or something and just boom right in the dirt. Just quick that done. I was like, so like it is a little nerve wracking. I get like nervous before the race, like any other competitor, I guess. And then as soon as that engine goes and that flag drops, I'm full throttle. That's all out the window.
So you real quick, you mentioned that you have students. So you teaching guys or you run it?
No, they're not students. They're my pilots.
Okay.
So I have some of my pilots. They're some of them are new, some are experienced, but I still have to teach them how we operate. And then, like a lot of them like to fly. I like to push them a little bit beyond their comfort zone to tell them that you can do. So. It'll be like super windy and they're like freaking out. It's like, oh my God, it's whatever. Like, it's just wind, let's go, and it's fine. It's like, I do it all the time. I do it by myself. It's you guys, I want you guys to come up to my level so you guys can enjoy it more,
Let's talk about that, doing it by yourself. Cause I saw a comment on one of your videos and this dude was like, oh my God, this company's so irresponsible. You're flying by yourself. What happens if you blah, 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 blah. And they don't know they're talking to Iron Eagle over here.
Like literally. Yeah.
Oh man, I get so much hate. There's so many like back and forth. I just kind of like shrug it off.
It's crazy.
Like whatever,
it's crazy, man.
I mean, they get mad at me because I landed jet in the Grand Canyon on a little tiny road. 30 feet across, right? He's like, what are you landing a jet? I'm like, that's what it's built for. We're utilizing it. They built that jet for that kind of operation. So I'm
on that jet. What plane is it that AirSmart uses? The PC-24?
PC-24. So we have Pilatus fleet. We have PC-12s and PC-24. So the turboprop version and we have the jet version. And we're the only company in the United States to actually go out and utilize it in the dirt and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like on, like if you go to like when Pilatus comes out to like the big, they have the big, like MBAA, big air shows, whatever, all the manufacturers come out, kind of like SEMA for airplanes. And, the Pilatus, they got a freaking 30-foot poster of, me landing in the dirt, that's like, they love it, and it's what I do. And I flew the owner, or not the owner, but the chairman and the CEO of Pilatus when they came down. I flew them out. They all know me because they appreciate what I do for them as well. Yeah. I don't badmouth the company or I don't badmouth the product. I might have some days where but I don't publicize it. I don't put it on YouTube. I don't, you don't see the bad sides. Obviously, it's not. I don't know if it's not fair or not right if I don't, but I just kind of try to keep everything positive, But
one cool thing about that being that type of personality, being that type of user of their equipment, they'll come to you and ask you what could they do to upgrade or improve upon on their product. And they'll take your word at higher tier than whomever else. Because they're like, well, AirSmart, they're using the plane to how it was intended on whatever capabilities, and your input is more value, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I know if I ever need anything from them, they got my back, I had a window break on one of my pilots like a couple of days ago, the window shattered. So I was like, okay. Well, the bird strike, it's actually a manufacturer defect because one of the windows that companies that they use is they don't temper heat, whatever they do. They don't do it right. So they have a new manufacturer now. They got newer windows in the front, but the side ones aren't been updated yet. So it just kind of like spiders. It's not like completely cracked or anything. It's just spidered and double pane. You're still good. Just come back and land. But I was able to get that replane. They send me a new window, have it installed within like 2 days. They're quick. Because they know who I am. I'm like, hey, I need this window, and they're like, okay. So so we go through growing pains because it is a brand new airplane. The plane came out in 2018. We were the second carrier to pick up an airplane, number 15 off the line in the world. I was the 40th person in the world to get typed in that aircraft because I'm one of the higher time pilots in that aircraft because I got so many hours in it. Everybody else is still like 300 hours, 200 hours. I'm like close to 1,000 hours in the airplane already. So. And then plus, with my flying experience with aerobatics, racing, and all that, I could fly that airplane make it do all kinds of stuff. So when we're doing photo shoots for Pilates, and they came out with their cameraman, I'm doing like 200 knot low passes sideways.
Yeah, kill them that thing. Yeah.
Giving them a nice show, and they're getting these sick pictures, and they all love it. The average guy wouldn't do that because they're just, there's nothing wrong with being an average person, like a safe pilot. They're safe pilots, and then there's pilots that don't know what they're doing. So actually, I know where my limits are, so I have pretty high limits. And anybody you talk to that flies with me or knows me here, like my limits are so high that like there's not a lot of people to compete against here in town, in Vegas. Like it'll be blowing 40, 50 knots, and it's just about like handle it.
Yeah, I seen your video you posted a while ago. It was like I forgot what airport it was, but they were coming in, and you can see the planes being blown. Like they're trying to land. The runway is here, and they've been blown all the way this way, and the guy just counteracts and like lands it back. So it's like people don't realize how good pilots are until like they save a plane and people from crashing, and then they're like, oh, this guy's fucking all like. Actually, they're all pretty damn solid. But it's crazy within that realm. It's still different levels of pilots. Like it's different.
There are different.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even think about it. Like, a lot of people don't even take that into consideration. Like, especially now with all this virus stuff going on, people yelling and cussing at everybody on staff. But during normal times, when you're flying, you never really see the pilot, and except for when he boards and hey everybody, when he goes in, and that's it. And that flight, think about how comfortable we are to go to sleep and wake up in a whole nother state, city, whatever, and they land the plane. You don't even think about what the pilot did. The weather was bad when he took off. Most people don't know when you hit those clouds, how much turbulence you're dealing with, direction changes and wind pressures and everything like that. But you never think like, oh, that was just a boring ass flight. Oh, how was your flight? I don't know, whatever. Yeah. Weird. Let's do something. You don't think that pilot's amazing because the flight was boring. The flight was, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's a really that's something I was just,
it's a great topic, Lex. Right there. And real quick, Tommy, man, like I know you've been a passenger in a plane. How does it feel for you as a pilot, especially now, man, getting on a plane and you fly somewhere, and it's like you can't just. I think it'd be equivalent to anybody who does anything good and then watch somebody else do it. Fighter, I got a bunch of fighter jet pilots and everything, and also mechanics. And I've been around them, so I know, like, hey, man, when I'm sitting in the window and the guy's, like, checking the engine right before we fire up, or it's like, it's probably, I seen duct tape come out one time, I'm like, oh, shit. It's like, it's just like, how do you know the whole procedure of we're going this runway, we're doing this, blah, blah, blah. So how is it for you flying, man?
I mean, as a passenger commercially, I kind of know what's going on in the background, but I just kind of just don't really worry about it because I used to fly commercially.
Is there a doctor?
Before I
it's
did
like they're a doctor in a plane. Like I'm a flyer. Like it's like,
that was like always a thing of mine when I was a kid. I was like, I always wish I would get called because even I was like 12 or 13 years old. I knew I could fly the plane if I needed to. Because if it was legal too, my dad would have let me loose in the airplane by myself by the age of 12, 11. I was already landing the airplane by myself. But other things I forgot to mention that I did do growing up on Okinawa, I used to do a lot of hang gliding and paragliding too.
Oh,
so
sick.
That taught me a lot of
catching wind pockets.
Correct. That taught me a lot of skills on developing where to find wind shear, where I can find lift, and where I would know where it would be bad behind a building, depending on the direction.
You got the real live.
So I was able to take
I'm into this shit.
What's that? Nausicaa, the Wind Princess or whatever. It's like.
So yeah, when I'm flying with my paraglider, I'm searching. I'm not powered, no engine.
Right.
I'm jumping off a cliff in Okinawa and just riding the winds to soaring the ridges. Staying up for hours. And you're feeling the wind all the time. You can't really see it, but you can kind of imagine where it's coming from. And I'm able to take that skill to where I am now, and I'm still, I'll come in for landing, and I'll be looking at signs and cues of dirt or leaves or trees, all kinds of little pockets and hints to know what's going on, and I'll be fine. And that's the other thing I kind of teach the other pilots. The other pilots that don't have that background, they get told what the winds are on the radio by the control tower, and then that's all they think is the number. That's the number. That's the hard number. It's never going to be, wind isn't consistent. It's always changing, right? Yeah. So I always teach to look at the windsock, because that's the only, if at first just pay attention to the windsock when you land. Always pay attention to the windsock, and then you really know what the wind. I don't care what the tower tells you what the wind is. Look at where that windsock, because that wind sensor that they're using could be on the other side of the airfield telling you something totally different. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I did all kinds of, like, single activity type sports, like I said, skateboarding to paragliding, racing. It was just something I like to do.
So how does all of that excitement, all up in the clouds and the heavens, get you down here on the ground with these mere mortals, right in the seat of a Corolla, lined up on your first event for Formula D, knowing like, hey, this is the big shit. Like, this is the show. What was it about?
Back when I was doing Formula D, I wasn't a commercial pilot yet. I was actually, I had my license, but I was still working on my commercial pilot. So I was actually, when I went from refueling to ramp agent, I did aircraft refueling, ramp agent, cleaning airplanes in the middle of the night. And then I used to work for Allegiant Airlines, and I got hired I was like, well, how am I going to get to the cockpit, So I got hired as a flight attendant. So I was actually a flight attendant for 6 years.
Yeah.
On Allegiant, So during that time, I was a flight attendant. I was making a little bit more money. I was racing my car at the same time. I actually had Allegiant Air sponsoring my car. They actually gave me cash. And
that was the blue livery on the Corolla, right?
Gotcha. Allegiant Air. So they're one of my title sponsors. And because Maury Gallagher, the CEO of Allegiant, was sponsoring another NASCAR type car. And I hit him up, like, hey, I drift cars. Why don't you sponsor me? He's like, okay, what do you need? And I was like, some cash, and we did. And so, that's how I got like pushed out to do it. And I was able to fly for free because I was a flight attendant. So I was working in the airline industry. So I was able to race Formula Drift at like super budget, really getting the cars out there. If the car got there, I was able to get tickets for everybody, to get my staff out there. I mean, if you know Nick Dazan, he joined in at the last of my season, and we were so broke, like we were like going to we had like literally, he lost his wallet too, and I was done, and we had like $1. We went to like a hamburger, like $1 burger, and we split it in half. I mean, we were
that's the me and Lex love that stuff, man, because that right there, man, like I love, it just came on naturally, man. I love when people talk about that, because again, we started the podcast. You're like, hey man, let me shut the door to the hangar. I'm in the other hangar, like, it's like, what I mean, all that stuff. A lot of guys don't. A lot of the younger guys, man, I would say now, they kind of just want to get straight to the success. And they don't want to go through none of the training, none of the stuff you've done, all of the books and being a flight attendant. And people like, oh man, I don't want to be a flight attendant and be, because you associate flight attendants with mostly with, honestly, with women or feminine guys. Because I ran into a bunch of them. And it's
I didn't care. Yeah, they were paying me $20 an hour.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So what I'm getting
you want the can with your Coke?
Yeah. When I'm getting that, man, it's like that right there, man. People like they think even when you're doing it, when you're there in Formula Drift in a nice suit and everything, they think everything behind the scenes is caviar, and I'm like, nah, dude. We had Stanbro Williams on, and he was in the pits while everybody's eating steak. He's there working on cars, man.
But that's another thing, because we know what we're looking at, right? So casual fans like, oh, FD, whatever. You look at his driving suit and you don't see a patch on there. Ain't no money on that thing. That's him. You know what I'm saying? That's him.
Sponsored by me.
Yeah. You see 1 or 2 logos on the car. That's him. It's a lot of money, and like Donnie and I said a couple times how our struggles were, and like I never really wanted to go pro. The only thing that I wanted to do in FD was Pro-Am All-Stars. But the year that I had second or third place to go, they canceled it in 2012 because a couple of pro-ams hadn't finished. So we would have just been finishing right before Irwindale, and they were like, "Nah, hell nah." And I was like, "All right, I don't want to do it." But I do know that my struggles, especially coming off of work, making sure I had my truck and trailer loaded, driving all through the night to go to events, to get there, an hour of sleep, haven't ate, ball sweaty because I've been driving all night. You know what I'm saying? Go get the car tires changed because I hadn't changed them yet from the practice day. Doing all the bullshit. And you saying that's what the struggle's about. Everybody think you made it, but you over here trying to get a 99-cent burger from somewhere so y'all could have a penny left over.
Hoping they're gonna tax them. Yeah.
Split it with your boy because y'all was scraping so thin that it goes up to the point. Ain't no Apple Pay at that time. Hit your phone on something and get it. Nah, you lose your wallet, you're done. Don't matter what's in the bank. You got no access to it unless you walk to the bank and can prove, you know what I mean, who you are. So yeah, that's what we like to hear, the struggle. So, knowing your Corolla, how built was this Corolla? Everybody and the low level of power that you were able to compete with in FD in the beginning.
Yeah, so my first Corolla for the first year, I had Jay-Z, 4A GZ swap supercharger. Yeah.
MR2.
Yeah, so I installed the GZ supercharger. I boosted it up, put a big pulley kit, and then installed nitrous on top of that. And then that, back in 2007, that was in 2007, we didn't have a top 32. It was top 16, do or die. And surprisingly, I got 2 rounds of top 16 in there. I was able to qualify in the top 16 out of the group with that car, with the Corolla. But I lost to, I think my first match was with Tanner Faust in Sonoma or something like that.
Yeah.
After he did 100-point run, I'm like, great, he just smoked me. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. I just didn't have the oof, But yeah, that was my first year, and we just kind of pieced the car together. I was able to get some sponsored parts on the car to help out. Techno Toy Tuning helped me out with a lot of those parts. NST, Nonstop Tuning. I don't even know if they're even around anymore. But Gabe over at Techno Toy, he hooked me up with new suspension and everything, got it all dialed in. But then I was like, you know what? If I want to race FD in this Corolla, I need more power. My 100 and maybe 200 horsepower at the time with the nitrous on it.
Yep, that's all. 220 maybe.
So I was like, all right, SR swap it. Let's do this. If I can get 300, would be good. 2008 was experimenting. I put the SR in it, and I think I did 1 or 2 races in it, or 2 or 3 events, and I had some engine issues. I did 2008. I raced. I did do the Vegas event with the SR. It wasn't fully set up yet, but I did. I don't think I'm qualified. I don't think that 2008. I didn't qualify in 2008 with the Corolla. 2009 is after the 2008 season got done. We revamped the engine, got everything all dialed in, and then 2009 was my best one yet. So I went in. 2009 got everything all squared away. First round, Long Beach. I spun it, and then what's his name?
Oh, cool. Yeah, that was an S15.
Ueno.
Ueno
with a Corolla in an S15. Goes through the smoke, didn't see the yellow flag, and just T-boned the car. Totaled the car. We just built it, got it ready. We're ready to rock. Got the sponsors ready. I had Toyo contract. They were giving me tires. The rig. I had full access to the pit. Everything was ready to go. First round practice, we didn't even get the freaking car gets smashed, totaled it.
Decimated. Yeah, it decimated the car. Yeah.
Yeah. The whole thing was shattered. We looked at it.
And you were right-hand drive too, right?
Yeah, luckily I was.
Because that would have been you. Yeah, because
my other cars were left-hand drive. Okay. And that's why I was like, I got to make this thing right-hand drive so I couldn't. My reaction time for left-hand drive is shit. shit, because I want to grab the e-brake, but it's, I got to think. So hence why I have a chaser now again, So, and all my other cars, I keep them right-hand drive when I want to drift them. So yeah, the conversion, everything was sweet. It was good. I was feeling it, and the car got totaled, and we're like, fuck, what are we gonna do? I had a backup shell. Literally, we rebuilt the whole complete FD car in a week and a half.
Yeah.
A week and a half complete, because the next race was like 3 weeks away in Atlanta, and I was like, I got sponsors to, I got checks to fulfill, so I had a spare empty shell. My buddy from Seattle came in, Chris, built me a roll cage like in 2 days, and everybody else on the Vegas Drift team came by, took all the parts off the other car, put it on this new car, got it all painted the interior, came back out, rolled up in Atlanta. Went out to Atlanta. I made top. Did they start top 32? Oh, they started the top 32 that year, and in 2009 is when they started doing top 32 competition. So I qualified top 32. I think I went up against Reese Millen at that time.
Crazy power.
Huh?
He
had a Hyundai. He had a Hyundai.
Okay, Honda.
Yeah. And I was on him pretty good, but I still didn't have the car super dialed in yet. Back in 2007, I went against Chris Forsberg in my GZ. He had an orange 350Z. I got smoked at that time in Atlanta, but like I said, I was able to qualify with the 16 because there was only 16 in the Corolla.
But as people know now, they did the top 16, whatever. Getting in the top 16 was coveted, though.
Oh yeah, I was like placing 15th and 16th, but I was like, I'm doing it in a Corolla,
It was a pretty good amount of drivers showing up.
There was at least 40 drivers that showed up to qualify for 16 spots, and if you didn't make 16, you weren't even driving tandem. It was you're done show.
We're practicing all weekend.
Because Atlanta, 2007. Yeah, I did my first event in Long Beach in 2007. I got through Long Beach. I didn't make top 16 there. But Atlanta, I made my top 16, and that's when everybody like, where'd this guy come from? And then after Atlanta, I think we went to West Virginia. Which year was that? Did you see that one in West Virginia?
No, I don't even. Shit. West Virginia. No, I don't know. I'm gonna look that up.
We had a racetrack in. It was a racetrack in.
West Virginia. West Virginia is not VR or like the West Virginia. I can't remember. But hey, man, like, while you're thinking on that, man, like, the one thing is like you took a challenge and like drove in those cars because it wasn't that you couldn't. Summit Point.
Yep.
Yeah, Summit Point. Actually, that was my first ever track drift event. Yeah, but
that wasn't.
Go ahead.
That was a gnarly straightaway.
Yeah. But man, it's like
a lot of cars are.
You did the you driving the cars with a little power, man. It's like a kind of a challenge because I remember looking back. You mentioned Gucci, who's like kind of towards the latter stages of his career. I remember Gucci was on the I think it was not option, but best BMI, and it was Gucci versus Reese in the Miata, and Gucci drove the Miata much better than Reese, but everybody knows who Reese Millen is and the power he drives, his rally, all that stuff. But it was like his training. Yeah, his training was like with his Ken Gucci's training was with his father with the lower horsepower, and he drove that car better. So people think naturally that say a guy like, let's say JR, for example, he's taking time out and he's driving these cars that have like all his power. If you put JR in say like a base model Carina, will he do well? And it's like some guys really can't do that. And I know you know what I'm talking about. Some guys, they can't really drive low horsepower cars. I got cars ranging from 200 to 800, but 350, 380 is like fun, really, really fun. And high horsepower stuff is like, it's cool. So,
and then it really, Formula D did bring up the level. It did step up my level of drifting, because when we went to like Summit Point and I'm drifting, we were racing the track in reverse, and it was a long straightaway, and it was a fourth gear entry to a wall. And I was like, fuck, we're not playing around anymore. This got real. You know?
It's real,
This just got real. I don't drift in fourth gear, not on the streets, you know. It's like top of max, you know. So like, and like literally fourth gear, and you're still rolling before you even initiate. And it was like a long right sweeper with if you hit the grass, you're in the wall, you're done. And
I was just looking at a ton of pictures of people in the dirt. Yeah,
there was the Saturn Sky. I forgot who that driver was.
Darren McNamara.
No, before him, before that guy.
Oh, really?
There was another guy driving that Saturn. He smashed it in that wall at Summit though. But yeah, a lot of cars were eating shit there.
Who's on this one?
Yeah, man. That's crazy.
But yeah, Summit.
Yeah, Summit. I did actually. Summit was my. Summit was the last time I drove in the track before I came to Japan. I did 2007, something like that, and it was I had my K, and I had my KT, but I had Falcon when Falcon and Zenith first came out, and I bought those, and there was way too much grip. I had to take them off because I couldn't physically slide the car. So I put some junkers on there, and I broke the axle and all that. It's even back then with some 215s. It was just stuff. The stuff now, man, with the technology, the cars, it's crazy, man. So from your opinion, man, like how do you see FD now versus all the other series worldwide, and where do you see it going at, man? Because me personally, I have no interest in driving in D1 in Japan. I'm in Japan, and I want to go to America and drive because, I don't want to. That's my story, man. But how do you feel about how do you feel about it now?
I mean, it's kind of the same. It's like D1, but my FD, the way I see FD now, it's like I don't even want to get involved in it. It's just way too much money to, you need title sponsorships and factory sponsorship basically to even do it, like any other motorsports. And, I want to get back into drifting, but I've been looking at like those other series like Final Bout and stuff like that.
Clutch kickers.
Super D. I got my Super D banner right up here.
Exactly.
Right there.
So
come to Super D.
I'm coming.
Okay.
Because I've been doing all this
you
research.
hear that,
I got that
Julian,
car.
and everybody? Let's make it happen.
I've been doing all this. I'm like, oh shit, there's still like grassroots fun out here.
Right.
Because I literally
we started up amateur drift series. We got Super D. We've got Final Bout, which is it's an expression event, right? Like Super D is, but it's kind of an expression event too, because it's not about the pro drivers showing up with a whole crew, man.
Exactly. I just want to go out there and have fun, have a flashy car, and do it chill, And like I said, I kind of stepped out of the scene for the last 7 years, and I'm trying to catch up. Like, oh, what kind of parts do I need? Because there's so many different new parts. I'm like, oh man, what can I go get? So like I'm trying to get back, and I'm looking at Final Bout and Super D. I'm like, oh man, I gotta, this is where I need to go. I don't need to chase Formula D. I've been there, done that,
Right.
Yeah.
And I ended on a good season too. When my last race at Irwindale, my car was on fire until it started overheating.
Yeah.
But for my Corolla, I had the SR 330 horsepower. I was running 225s, R1Rs, sticky tires on the back with the Toyos.
225.
And I had that car dialed in at Irwindale. I qualified 4th out of the whole group on that year.
Yeah.
I lost the Matt Powers because, my car just started overheating and I just couldn't get, power anymore. I didn't have the financial.
Once your car starts overheating in those situations, now everybody's used to everybody having fans that'll pull the earth to their radiator. But back then, your car was still pretty much standard.
I still had insurance on the car to drive on the street.
Right. I was just going to say it was like more or less the closest thing to a street car that guys would claim.
A license plate on the back.
Setups, right? But once that thing started warming up, it's really tough to get it to cool off, dude. And they're like,
I had to do it one.
Yeah.
I had to do it one more time. Yeah, I had to do it one more time with Matt Powers, and I was like, this ain't gonna. There's just no more oof, But the car was dialed in. And the thing I liked about with my style of driving is for a Corolla is like I don't use that e-brake because that e-brake slows me down. Yeah. I go in the Irwindale full 4th gear clutch kick all the way down, and the angle to slow the car down to the second entry. I just angle and time it right and hit. I didn't e-brake to the fucking inner or nothing. I just fucking gasped it.
Yeah.
So and that car was just dialed in for Irwindale. When I left, I was like, all right, I could retire here on a nice note. I finished fourth, and I'm qualified fourth. And
So
that
how
was
many
fun.
seasons were you in at that point? How many seasons had you driven FD when you?
That was my third season in. Yeah.
Oh damn! So you did 3 years and pulled the plug, huh?
Yeah. The second season was kind of half-assed because my car was in and
Tough.
out of engine swap, and I only got like 2 races in or something.
Mm.
And I also had issues with my previous sponsor, and I like pulled the plug. I said, I'm not gonna go race Airedale, so I didn't go.
Yeah, man. So much stuff that a lot of guys don't realize, man. There's so much that goes into it. And again, guys, I allude to JR and a few other guys, and I don't know the deal they got with Ford and everything, and they see but the thing is, it's a clear line between Papadakis, Ford guys, and Papadakis kind of seems like he goes around to, he kind of hops around to multiple teams. He's getting his check, whatever. Yeah. But it's like you got those guys, and then it's like everybody else, and it's like a clear line there where if you don't got this support, this doesn't matter how good you are as a driver, because everybody out there is good. It's just if your car's stand on the track, they got parts. If you got 5 minutes, you can get it fixed in 3 minutes. And it seemed like now that's the people are seeing clearly what you have to be successful in FD, man.
Yeah, and back then it was a lot easier to get in as long as you can get your license. Right. Somehow you made it to events. We had FD back in 07 had team drift competitions, and we
love that.
I think we took the championship. We took the team. We won. Me, John Rusikoff, and Andy Haley. We all had,
all Corollas.
Yeah. Well, Andy had the Z. Andy had his 350Z. And we just went out to all the team event, like Portland International Speedway, Cleveland. We just took the cars everywhere. And Formula D actually paid us like $5 or $10 grand, and that helped pay for our travel expenses to get around to the other races. That's why 2007 was pretty fun. And they got rid of team drift, but we had a blast doing that.
So about the Vegas, no, go ahead.
No, I forgot. It'll come back.
So about the Vegas events. So Vegas, your hometown, they always kind of changed up the layout. It wasn't always the exact same run-up layout, but it was a fast-ass entry there in Vegas. You're just between two sets of walls, then just poof out into.
Talking about the FD? Yeah, for Formula Drift. Yeah, it was. I loved it. I have some clips when I just got my SR not dialed in, but just got the SR installed. But my differential was welded, which I don't like welded at all.
Tell people why you don't like welded diffs.
You can't control it, man. You can't control it. That thing was slamming in the wall. It's okay if you're doing first gear, second gear, little baby drift around a parking lot or something. But when you start going to third, fourth gear and you need to adjust, you can't. You're done.
Fully locked and you lift off.
And I've always personally felt a dragging down on the engine, and when you can't do minute things like. So I was watching I guess you were doing mad practice runs with like Ryuji Miki or something, right? You're chasing the Apex FD, like.
Oh yeah, dude.
Y'all were flying, right? And it's like
I was going as fast. I couldn't even keep up with this power. Like it was like we did so many one more times. I think we did like 3 one more times. He screwed up, which gave me an advantage again. But like I just didn't.
Yeah, he bounced off the wall. Yeah, 570 horsepower FD versus the little Corolla.
300 horsepower SR. But welded diff, no good. Like this chaser. Welded diff, I just pulled it out today. I got a cause 2-way on the way. Ray lives here in Vegas, Nakada, owner of cause, so he's helping me out. He's always helped me out with, when I got the Celica Super Rear and the Corolla, I got the cause 2-way and everything just snaps, But welded diff, like you just you literally can't control the airplane. The car,
my best 35's taking off right now. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we got Nellis Air Force Base here, so we see them all. F-35s, F-22s, F-16s. The Las Vegas track, I just love the challenge, the speed, and the walls, and the commitment. You just had to go for it, and just drag it, man. But FD kind of got safer because back in 2007 in Sonoma, if you remember, where they had a K-rail. Everybody just backed into the K-rail.
That was Calvin Wan made that G35 a 318.
Yeah, Calvin Wan.
The whole flat back.
Taka crashed into it. Even Tyler McCory with the Porsche, he had the turbos in the back. He backed it into the turbos. I remember that. I like tagged it, but it didn't like wreck my car. I just tagged it during tandem when I was racing Tanner. I kind of pushed it too hard because I had to go as fast as I can. It just kind of a little too fast. But yeah, I mean, they kind of got 2007 with like I said, Summit Point too. We had all these walls. We had some nasty crashes in Vegas too. We had Daigo Saito. His car flew apart. Suspension everywhere when he hit. God. Zuffrey's that Mustang flipped over upside down.
That was
that was Jim Ruffy or something. Like it was a blue Mustang.
Damn it! That's the Mustang that JPP had in 2015. We called it the kickflip car because it came in boom on his roof. Yeah.
And then
Jim
2014,
Jim Guthrie.
Jim Guthrie. So 2014, I came back to Formula Drift as a spotter. I don't know if you knew that though. No. I was working for Tyler McCory. Tyler Corey called me. He's like, "Hey, I need a spotter. You're a driver." I don't, So yeah, for the whole season, I went all to the races for him with the team mobile. And,
I don't recall you were gone by 15, huh?
Yeah, by 15,
I came spotting for Justin in 15. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So 2014, I did that, and then flying got busy. Yeah. After that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I seen the airplanes, man, I figured like I would never see any car stuff from you again, man. Because it's like I got a buddy who had a buddy here who was a crew chief. He had a really, really nice R33. He's one of the few guys I got talked to here because he actually knew his stuff mechanically, and he wasn't like some of these guys are dreamers here. They figure you get a GTR for $5,000 and make a JGTC car. But he had a really nice R33. Built to the gills, and he sold it, and I'm like, what the fuck? And next post was he bought an airplane, and once he got that airplane, like never seen a car post from him again. I just see every weekend with his wife up in the air, flying and everything. It's just like he doesn't even talk about cars anymore. It's like crazy. So
that's why I secretly sit back and root for you. When I saw you started your YouTube and you're talking about building the Corolla. Yeah. On back, because I love like leave.
Are you talking about Japanese?
Yeah. Yes, you were speaking all in Japanese. I put on the subtitles too, but I like to see when people leave something, right? Then they go to something else, and then they finally make their way back, and I be sitting there like, yeah, like, because I do that. I leave something for I leave drifting for like 2 years, then be like, I want to drift and just go load my car in the trailer and go to Sonoma, right? And so when I started seeing you come back, and then when I saw you post the Chaser, I was like, good Lord. Yeah. I was like, oh, it's back. And then you start seeing all the car posts. I'm like, oh, he's back. Yeah. I was like, he might be back, y'all.
But right there real quick, Lex, man, that's like a cool thing because it's one of those things where, I mean, where we're at a certain stage of our lives, like we want to do certain things. And then you notice Oka-chan, and then like this other guy that drives FD that's like 65 with an S15. I forgot his name, but they don't even Ueno. Was it Ueno? Ueno or he dropped Hachiroku guy, man. Ueno. So Ueno kind of went away a little bit, started his company, and then came back, went to D1 Street League, D1 Divisionals, which everybody's just like, that's what you got to do. You got to go back, get the one event, street legal, blah blah blah. It's like, dude, he was starting a business or doing whatever he was doing. Same thing with me. Like, you can't, unless you're loaded, you can't run a business and try to compete. Like, I had to go away for 5 years, and I was going to come back last year, but, obviously Corona, it wasn't financially smart to try to balance that, so I stayed away again, and I had to FD stuff. So people don't realize, man, like, it's cool to take a little break, level up in some other area. CEO now, and it's like now it's easier to play. It's easier to play with these cars, man.
Like my FD Corolla, like when I got done in 2009, I partied it out.
Yeah.
I sold this, I sold that, and eventually I sold the shell. 3 years later, that shell came back.
Yeah. So it works.
I got my FD shell back and another shell, and I had another shell. So I have 3 Corolla shells I've been sitting on for this whole entire time.
Yeah.
I just been waiting,
Hey,
waiting for the time.
Hey, speaking of shells, I got right 5 feet from me. I have I got Yoshioka's shell, his Apex shell.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I got it sitting on my container, man. So like, it's eventually I'm gonna do something with it. But yeah, I went and got it from Robbie Nishida sold it to a guy, and then the guy sold it for $1,000, and it was down in Chiba. And he was like, I got this Hachiroku. I was like, I'll be right there to pick it up. And I took Hachiroku and went to Mount Haruna, like a
What, you got the red?
Yeah,
the red.
I got the red one. It's outside right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's on the container, sitting outside. So
and I'm such a lurker. I lurk IG. I follow people, and I genuinely follow people I'm very interested in, like whether it be their car or I met them and they're really cool people. And so that's how you know it's in you, not on you. Like there's a lot of we've come to the sport, blow out, burn out, and be gone.
Come on, don't talk about Nick Hogan like that, man.
Get rid of all that shit. But I would always look at what you were doing and it'd be like, for a moment, oh, I see it in the background in the garage, right over there on the side, still there. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and I know when something's still there and it's in you, you're gonna get back to it, And the fact that you pull up with this chaser, we're all car guys. That doesn't mean, the Corollas is over for it. But
stand by.
Got the timer on there.
Yeah.
It's like, you ever been in the bathroom and it happens? They're like, I guess I'm in the dark.
And just sitting there dookie in the dark blue. But yeah, so we know it's not over for the Corolla. The Corolla will eventually do its thing, but this gets you back in the game to have fun. Like shit, we have Winter Jam in a month, right? In a couple of weeks. You can come over to Winter Jam and have fun. Now you're not grinding on building a car, and then we know that's stressful, especially right now. We can't get parts too easily or too quickly right now unless they're stocked stateside or whatever. But that the building process is kind of like, I want to drive, and then you kind of get frustrated with the build and that you're not driving. At this point, you have a car that's very capable, super stylish, and just your style, just right up your alley to be like, yo, I'm going to go have fun this weekend. Oh, there's an event coming up? I'm going to go drive that. I'm going to be in town. Or, and you can do what you want as you still tinker with on your own. Because I sat and watched you on your live before this. I was getting tires changed. And I was like, I hope they ain't doing. And I watched you tinkering around with your daughter's cars.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah. I love seeing when people have the time and they mess with stuff and they do their own thing. And it's just like, when I saw the car content coming back, I'm like, keep going, baby. Like, keep on going.
Real quick, man. Go, Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, my daughters, they're the ones that want to drive the Hachis. They want to drive the Corolla. They watch Initial D. They see pop-up lights. They're like, they want pop-up lights.
Yeah.
Whether it's 240. But she really wants to drive the Corolla. So I haven't mentioned it yet, but 2023, the goal is to bring out 3 Corollas as a team. Me, Darian, and Nick. Because Nick got his, he has a Corolla that needs to work. Darian, he just got his hatchback or coupe back, and then I have mine. So we all decided we're going to do final belt in my current car, Chaser, and he's going to bring out his S14.
Exclusive.
Darren's going to bring out his FD. And then the next round, we'll bring out the Corollas. So that's the new project now.
Okay, so here we go. 2023, your itinerary is final bout.
Yeah, you
3 Corollas
in Sonoma Drift at the end of the year, because we have a team tandem conf as well. There we go. 2023.
2023.
3 rounds, 3 things to commit to.
We're doing it. I mean, we got the trailers, we got the rigs, we got the trucks. We're all like,
in a world of V8 S14s, how dope would it be to hear Corolla screaming and to see
the only thing I'm going to do with this Corolla is probably be a K24 swap. I'm thinking NA though.
Yeah.
Fine,
but NA K24. I don't know if I want to do. I don't want to spend that much money on a engine set up for a Corolla, But
But
I
you
think
know
the
what's
NA.
odd? I saw a dude at our ADS at one of these drift comps. He had a K24, and it sounded dead
It kind
ass
of does
like
sound 4AG.
yo.
Yeah.
I saw the motor, right, but he was taking off from the line, and I'm getting everybody set up, go, whatever. But when he took off, I'm like, what the hell? Because I know it was a K24 in there, but I was like, it sounds just how a Corolla's supposed to sound. So if you fiddle with the exhaust, people will never know. They'll be like, that's a powerful ass 4A, or if you got
It's just, you can't find 4AG parts anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I was like, I would love to put a 4A back in there.
Well, you got like five.
But
You got like
it's-
4 guys hoarding them. Like you got Charlie Tyson
Yeah.
on the East Coast. You got the guy, my other guy Clayton, who has a bunch. I know you got all the Corolla guys know each other, man.
Well, there's a lot of Corolla guys that are just enthusiasts, and they're not even going to drift their car anymore.
It's
they're
too
just,
expensive, man.
It's just show.
It's too
So
expensive.
I don't really care because I got 3 bodies. I got 3 shells.
Yeah.
I got one in the backyard and one in the garage and one in my father-in-law's house. My old FT shell. And so and I got tons of spare parts for it still. I just kept it. I just didn't throw it away. I didn't sell it as much as I wanted to, but I just held on. And both of them 2 of the shells are already caged.
Yeah.
So. And they're all right-hand drive.
That's amazing.
I have 2 right-hand drive dashboards that are not tracked. They're clean.
Yeah.
I just keep them because, like I said, I can only drift competitively on the right side.
Yeah.
For fun, I can do on the left.
That's why. Yeah, that's why. The one I have from your show, because it has the firewall is left and right hand drive, so they were swapping a dash.
Both of the shit in it for.
Yeah, it was swapped. So, so right now it's actually left hand drive as it sits on my container, but I'll put it back to right hand, steering rack and a dash and everything, and swap that out, man. So I got a question for you, Lex, man, because obviously, man, you're in the plains, and then we got a pilot here, man. Well, I want you to talk about the basic steps of somebody wanting to be a pilot, man. So when you gonna get your license, Lex, to fly airplane? Because you're too much into the aeronautic to not have license, man. Like, are you gonna try?
I have a problem, and it's not a confidence problem as a doing. I'm sure if I got behind it, paid attention to it, go through the course of what all the switches thing does, I'm on it. But my thing is the confidence to get my ass up and go over, because we have an airfield right over here in Concord. I'm right behind the airstrip right there, where my boy that was my realtor that sold me this house, he's gone and taken a few flight lessons, and he's always, come on, man, let's go. And I'd be like, nah, because if I go, I'm gonna be messed up. I saved a couple things. Facebook always want to tell you what you was doing last year on this day. Every time I say I'm gonna do something, something happens. I was saying I was gonna get into bikes again. Womp. I was saying I wanted to go do this and that, and it always happens. So I would like, I know if I did it, I'd just go dive head first into it and go try to take up as many Cessna hours as I could just to fly. Because, dude, I would get hooked on it, and I'd be like you. I would try to tailor my life around making enough money to continue to drift, continue to have my bikes and do track days, and now get in a plane every weekend that I have the opportunity to. So I just love, like, I got all the flight sims and been doing all that. I just love that element of it to know about, because my father, he had me in C5 Galaxies because that's what he used to work on as a little kid, and I was terrified of him because we go in the nose and we're like, God, this is like a building, and I'm not around, and I can't walk on the ground because I'm falling on all the caster wheels all over the place. So I was terrified of that plane. Love to look at it, love to see it fly, because Huh?
Was that at Travis?
Yeah, because Travis Air Force Base is right here. I'm under their flight circle, their flight path, where they log their hours. I'm right under it. And so, like with my kids, what is that? Oh, that's a C5. How do you know? Because I'm looking at the wings and they don't have the little. So I'm like, he don't have to know the technical stuff. You just have to know. And why is it what you said it is? Because it's this. Good job. And then when the flies over. Look at that. What's that? And I'll be waiting for them to say, "Oh, it's a C-1." No, they don't say it. It's I don't know. I've never seen that. Okay, that's a KC. That's just that. So my thing was I thought the coolest job in the Navy or that I ever heard of was a spotter. And it's funny that I ended up being a spotter for racing, but a spotter. They had to be able to tell the Royal Air Force quickly, this is this and that plane coming in and whatever. Instantly, the second you see it, spot identifying things, whatever. So I had a whole big ass poster on my wall as a kid. Both my parents were military, but my mother was an archivist and my father was Air Force, right? So every plane, speeds, ceilings, weights, everything. I could ring off some shit, and then it was just like, this is nerd stuff, right? Because nobody else was into it. Nobody. It wasn't like I could. Hey, let's talk airplanes, and somebody say, "Oh yeah,
yeah, man." Like I said, I never knew that we talked all these podcasts, and then so you guys, I guess you mentioned something about that big, something huge Hercules plane or something like that.
The Antonov 124.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just start. Yeah. They just started geeking. I'm like, I'm just along for the ride, man. I don't know what this stuff's about. Hey, man, so Tommy, man, what would you tell a guy that's watching this and wants to be like, what's the very first steps to like making it a reality? Mm-hmm. Like, what's the first thing they should be thinking about reading, doing?
If you're dreaming about
it, being a pilot,
and you're like, yo, go do it. Here's the route to just get your feet wet.
Right.
To go fly?
Yeah.
Find your local flight school. And a small one, not a crazy college or anything, like mom pop flight school, and just go up for a flight, and then take your time, pay as you go. That's what kind of took me forever, because back in 2004 to 2010 is when I finally got my commercial license. I only had the private, so that whole time I was slowly building up my time, paying as I go. FD didn't help because I was spending money on cars.
Yeah.
4 or 5 year gap. But like I said, once I got out in 2009, I sold my parts and got my flying knocked out. 2010, I had a job flying, and that's when I didn't come back to racing for a while. But just go out to the local airport, and if it's just a little bit, just go fly for an hour, get a lesson in, and then just kind of work your way in. Once you're committed and like, okay, you need to do it, you got to do it at least two times a week. At least once a week minimum, or else it will really take forever. Just kind of having to pay to relearn what you just lost.
It's on hours,
right? Hours,
yeah. It's on hours, yeah.
And those hours, the hours are like, once you get those hours, log those hours, are they like infinite or they expire?
They don't expire, but you as a human expire.
Right.
All your knowledge,
right?
Your skills, right. So if you don't do it every day, when you go to show the instructor that you know how to do it, you're having to get taught again. They're not going to sign you off, right?
Yeah, that's pretty.
But I tell people that really want to go into like the professional side, like, because it can cost you, if you were to go from zero, nobody, to I want my commercial license to be able to get paid to fly, it can cost you from $65,000 to $80,000.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I tell people, if you have that kind of money, go buy an airplane for $35,000 or $40,000 and do it on your own. Go get a friend or a CFI or pay him in your own airplane, and then you get to enjoy the freedom to go where you want, fly where you want as you learn and build time. And when you're done, guess what? Just like everything else, when you're done, you have all your license, you can sell your airplane and get your money back that you invested in. So that $40,000, airplanes don't depreciate like cars.
Nope. Yeah.
Like my Comanche, that's a 1959. That thing goddamn old. Still worth the same amount I bought it for,
Yeah.
My biplane things worth probably about $110,000 now. And I bought it for like 65, but I've invested into it, and it's just prices of value, everything inflated now. So it's like it's gone up, That's the cool thing. Airplanes don't depreciate as long as you maintain them.
Yeah.
So you got the money to put down, buy yourself a cheap airplane, a $30,000 airplane to get around in, enjoy it, and you're flying.
Yeah.
The things I always tell these new kids with money that go into flight training, they'll go out and spend $80,000 to go to a flight school to fly their airplanes, walk out with a piece of paper, and nothing else to appreciate for it.
And you don't own shit. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You don't
own shit.
All you own is a piece of paper in your ass cheeks.
You can't just go jump in there. Yeah, you can't jump in that airplane and just go for a joyride. You know, they're restricted. You're teaching somebody, you're forced to do this and do that. Where I can just jump in the plane and go, whenever I want, middle of the night, whatever I want, With them, they can't do that. They got to get checked out. They got to have a reason to fly because it's all budgeted.
Yeah.
And it's a hell of a lot cheaper holding your own airplane. I mean, it sounds expensive, but if you can find a hangar or a shaded spot to keep it contained, and if the great thing about like one of my planes, or both two of them, or I got three, but two of them are experimental, and I'm not an A&P, I'm not a licensed mechanic, but experimental aircraft, you're allowed to work on it yourself. The only thing I can't do is the final inspection, the yearly inspection on the aircraft, which I have a friend that's just regular A&P, just double checks all the work, signs it off, and good to go. That saves me a lot of money of owning an airplane because I could do all my own work. I had kind of like good work experience working on cars and stuff. Airplane was different, right? It's like,
right.
It's fun. But you keep it pretty simple, my pits, like that thing's highly modified, so that one's kind of sketch. I don't even like flying it sometimes to get to the races. I'm actually next year might just trailer my airplane to the races because I don't like flying it across the country. It's got high compression pistons. I rev like 3,200 RPMs in that thing, and a stock motor is like 2,600. So it's just up there, way past the red line. But yeah, that's the easiest way to fly, I would say, is to buy yourself an airplane, get a flight instructor, and learn it. Then you get to enjoy the freedom and perks of having an airplane to fly wherever you want and wherever you want,
Right, and think about that, man. Go take your old lady on a date. Come on, baby, let's go. You get in the damn plane and go fly somewhere.
It's like every Hollywood movie.
We did a drift event at Firebird Speedway or whatever. I just took the guys in the plane in the morning. They already got upset. We're like, we're flying in. So we just flew in the morning, got done drifting, flew home.
That's next level, man. So speaking of that,
and then we buzzed the racetrack when we left. Everybody saw it.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, man, real quick, because I don't want to hold you up too much longer. I know it's getting late over there, man. And I'll let Lex ask a few more questions, man. Like I just had to ask you, man, because again, I got a few customer pilots, and I talked to them, and they don't really race. So I asked one guy, kind of two questions. The correlation between being in a jet powered plane during takeoff, is it kind of equivalent or the same feeling as being in a highly boosted vehicle, or is that two different feelings?
A highly boosted vehicle is faster.
Really?
A highly boosted vehicle is faster. I mean, like I said, when I was in Japan, I was drag racing. I used to race the GTS4 with the RB26, and it had 800 to the wheels, street car. Right. And we'll launch that thing. You like break your back,
Yeah.
It's like, and we're on freaking what tire? We had these needle tires just came out with these like semi-slick drag tires, needle. Back in the day, and that thing was just hook up. But yeah, I mean, jets accelerate, but not like an all-wheel drive GTR or anything.
Right.
Cars now hook up so much faster.
So we're talking about a commercial jet or like an F-16 type of? Because I mean, F-16 with afterburners, I still take a GTR. That's crazy, man.
Eventually, obviously,
after it gets off the ground.
But that first 300, 200 feet, that's like, yeah.
So I do remember seeing a video.
You got to think it's off the ground at like 160.
Yeah, it takes off at 160.
So I remember seeing a video. It was like an F-16 had an F1 car. I think it was a bike, and I think they like kind of, and the F1 car got out, quicker than a jet. Then they kind of reel them back in and everything. So that's crazy, man. Because I asked my pilot guy, and he didn't really, because I got an R33 is about 200 to 600 horsepower right now, and he was scared. I'm like, what are you scared, man? You fly a jet. He was like, I'm driving the car. I'm driving the car. He was just like, oh man. He's like, yeah, dude, this was a lot faster than I thought it would be. I was like, it's not really. It didn't feel that scary to me. And this R33, which is a big fat car, it kind of soaks up the speed and everything. And I was shocked that an F-16 now he's F-35 pilot. He was like frightened. It was crazy.
But you got to think about
they get a kick, but they don't get that launch.
Okay.
You know?
Right. Yeah. You notice after a minute, like, oh, I'm stuck in this seat. Like, especially after those pilots light up a couple rings on the afterburners, and you're looking at a vast environment, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you're here and trees are.
Yeah, that's
you're
true.
like,
and no, not trees, telephone poles.
You know those new roller coasters that are like electronic that just zoom.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the skyline. When I came to the U.S. and I sat in one, and it was like I didn't know they just launched off the line like that. I was like, oh shit, it felt like the GTR again. You know, I was like,
Yeah.
Yo, so it was funny because I let my son. He's 14, and we've got to talk about kids. So my son's 14, and I've had him driving since he was 9. He can drive manual. He can drive any damn car I put him in, just as long as he can see over the dash. So I let him drive.
I've seen those videos. I was like, oh.
Yeah. So yesterday or the other day, I let him drive a Camaro ZL1. So I'm not telling him nothing about it. I just said, "Do you know what this car is?" He said, "Yeah, it's a ZL1." I said, "Do you know what a ZL1's about?" He's like, "No." I'm like, okay, supercharged V8, about 600-ish horsepower. To him, that's just a number, right? He don't know. I don't say nothing. I'm barely saying anything. I'm letting him drive. He's putting through the neighborhood. He's playing with the paddles, whatever. So I said, "Give me some, man. Step on it." He gets on it, and you can see he's like, oh, because my RX-7 feels very fast at 400 horsepower. But you have this is quick, and then by the time we're in full boost, but I'm drifting, so we're breaking loose, so you don't feel like if I was to keep grip and accelerate it. Man, and he felt that torque. He looked at me like, holy shit.
Yeah, look straight.
Yeah. I was like, yo, but it's just like, when you watch kids, they don't know nothing about the world. This is what I love. Experience, like it's like The Sims, right? We've got these little people, and we can give information to, and let them go try it. Now we can know everything on the outcome, but we're watching them closely to watch them experience it. And this is what I love about you, sitting back seat, having the camera up front, watch your little girl's face as she's exploring this world, dude. Kids, your daughter's gonna be in college. And some dude's going to be talking this big jive time shit about this, that, and the third. Not knowing that this girl has been driving and flying on her own from single digits. And when we get to watch these kids get the experience and just see the pure joy and excitement, and they don't really necessarily care about what could happen or what the outcome will be when it goes bad. They're taking instruction from the one person they trust the most in this damn world. I don't care what could happen, because daddy said, this is how I do this, so I'm going to do it like that. And it's different when I do driver instruction. I have the worst time with older drivers. Yeah. They're so stuck in their ways as to how to drive safely. And when I say, oh, no, this is safe, you just got to do this. What? That's why I always loved having my son with me on those track days. Come here, Jalen, jump in this car. And then you go do that, and they see this little kid, his head is this low on the door sill. They're like, he can't see. I know, but he can see sideways.
Yeah.
What the hell? And then he's doing, and like, well, what? And I said, because he don't know nothing else except for what I told him. And the way I could relate to him that translates that information, he does it. And all you had to do was that all afternoon. You know what I mean? But I like talk about that. How is it feeling? What's the feeling like? I know it's one of the most proudest moments, but just sitting there knowing like, all right, baby girl, you got it. Take us up.
Yeah, it's just... What's made Amelia special is she's able to take instruction to the T. Like I said, even when she was like that 2-year-old video, I would tell her something and she would do it. And she understood how to do it. So like instructing her was like just walk her through. I just
Mhm.
communicate, and she would do, and she would understand, correct it, make a mistake, and fix it. Same with her racing. You know, she raced her first race like 2 months ago in that little tiny car. She's
Mhm.
out there by herself, first time on the racetrack. I had to teach her, let her drive around the airport to get a little, work her up, get her some confidence, and then go on the racetrack. Yeah, she didn't win or anything. She came in last, but she actually was not that far off from the next guy for first night on the track, and she's able to step it up. I can tell her where she needs to brake, where she needs to gas, and she's able to comprehend and adjust it and make it work. So she's like a really, really quick learner. Her minds are young; they're really easy to absorb. You
Yeah.
just tell them it's crazy, you know. And you know, when I was growing up, I didn't have that. My dad wasn't into cars; he was just airplanes, right? So he taught me how to fly the airplanes well. The car stuff I kind of had to do on my own, and racing and all that was just watching lots of videos. One thing I love doing is watching a lot of videos, even of myself, because I can critique myself and see where my mistakes are. Whether I'm flying an airplane, I watch videos of myself watching. I watch closely to see if I made mistakes when I'm flying. Racing, drifting, I like to watch it to see what am I doing, where I could have made a change and improve. And I think that's a lot of things. It looks like you're conceited. Why do you watch yourself a lot, right? It's not. I'm watching myself. I'm studying myself.
Right.
You know.
That.
And we all do the same thing.
Yeah, that I can't even explain that. People don't understand when you're watching. Like, that's why I started vlogging.
You see how slow you're going.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't actually to vlog and say, "Hey, check this out. Look how cool I am." It was a whole sequence of things that I could watch to critique what I was doing. So when I went out there, I do better. And the biggest key element of watching footage of yourself is being real as fuck with yourself. I know I made that mistake. I see it. I won't do that again. You know? And yeah, it's that's the thing. Getting footage of yourself. It's cool when it all works out fine and hey, you want to show people. It's not the show off element. It's the study,
Exactly.
See,
it's the study.
I reacted proper. When this happened, I know this happened. This is what it felt like to me. But when I watched the footage, it's like, it wasn't that rushed. I could have, did this or did that. And footage is such an amazing learner, teacher, when you can be 100% real with yourself. Because to be honest, when you're flying, you make a bad mistake, you don't tell yourself excuses. If you fuck up, you're hurting yourself. You know? It's being 100% real. You learn that as a trait from that, and then it's so easy to be 100% real in your life to everybody else. Because when you can be honest with yourself, when you look at things that you want to be badass at, you want to be great at, and you can say, I made a mistake. I'm gonna fix that.
He like stop talking about me in the dirt bikes, man. Because when I be out on the track, I feel like I'll be killing it. But I watch him like half throttle, like engine bugging now. But for flying, man, like when you watch your flying video, because cars is to me obvious, but when you're flying, what cues are you looking at or movements are you looking at as far as a moment that, because to me it looks you're in the air.
Like if you see video, yeah. So like if you see a video, like when I'm air racing, I have videos on there. I'm watching like how smooth I'm going, where I'm hitting the lines. If if you cut a pylon, you're going to lose time and get DQ'd and stuff. If you fly too low, you get DQ'd. But I'm just watching how the plane's flying, how I'm going around the turns, and just keeping it out smooth, and then course, like literally, I'm flying around this little barrel, and when I get up to it, I can't see it because my wing blocks it, right? And when I'm far from it, I still can't see it, but I know it's there. Yeah. I don't want to hit it if I get too low, right? And then I don't want to cut it, so I have to use ground references on the bottom. So I'm looking at where the barrel is, and then whatever rock or road or kind of distinguished pattern on the floor, that's my actual point of view. And you only can know those if you watch your videos and watch the track layout. See it on Initial D. They're like course study, right? Same thing, right? It's all about analyzing. And then the more homework you put in, the more results you get at the end of the day. I mean, it comes to anything, whether it's flying, racing, drifting, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I always love getting footage of myself or trying to see myself do it so I can see what happened or what I did or how it looked or what I changed, you know. It's so I have lots of cameras everywhere all the time.
Yeah, it's just separation, man.
Yeah, I always felt weird because like I've been doing that since I was a kid. You know, when I was paragliding, I competed paragliding. I won a bunch of, you know, competitions paragliding when I was 14, 15 because I couldn't solo an airplane until I was 16. So I was able to jump off this mountain with a parachute at 14, right? Which is still young, but like there was no restrictions on it. So I was like, well, I can't fly airplanes. I'll fly this damn thing. So I flew that, and I would have video running, and I would study, you know, that video all the time. I watched myself all like over and over again, and like seemed like I was conceited, but I was just studying, you know.
Did I put my feet back in the sack cleanly? Did I, you know, did I lift off? Did I push up properly? Did I get too much of a rate? Yeah, you're looking at all those things that.
What's the thing? We talked about a couple parts. Is not squirrel suit? The guys that fly with the.
Oh, the suits.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, the wingsuits.
Yeah, have you ever done that?
No, I haven't done that, but my good buddy down the other hangar does it.
Yeah.
For fun. He has his own helicopter, and he just bought like this Kodiak, all blacked out. Like his helicopter's murdered out, all black. His airplane turbine carries like 8 seats. That thing's all murdered out, all black.
Yeah.
I'll show you pictures of it. But he just flies around, has fun. He has a helicopter, airplane, and he jumps out with his wingsuit. And they're sponsored by Squirrel and all that. And then I don't know if you ever saw the video where he jumped out of his helicopter, his wingsuit, and I get in my airplane and I start flying.
Yeah, I did. I saw that last week. Yeah. Okay, that's who that was.
That was my buddy. Yeah. But yeah, that's I jumped out of an airplane. Huh?
They haul ass. They do like 90, 100 miles an hour in those suits, right?
Oh yeah. He was doing like 100 miles an hour. I had a hard time keeping up with him because not keeping up with him, but trying to go as slow as him. So like, you know, trying to go around him, and then he's a moving object, moving, you know, 120 miles and constantly descending. So I'm trying to not just fly perfect circles, but I have to descend with him.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so, but yeah, it was fun. We were just experimenting to see how it go, and so we did it. So it's doable.
Y'all gonna mess around and have videos on GoPro. It's gonna be a GoPro commercial because y'all be having those angles. You could have a 360 cam on his head watching you all the way around him, and
I had a 360 on my plane, and he had his 360. He's actually sponsored by GoPro too, so he gets all the GoPro.
It's gonna happen.
Too easy, man.
If you go to their, it's actually on the GoPro video, like on their website, I think, or footage. They actually show the footage of us going around, or me going around.
Take only the best footage to get on there, man. So it's like all those GoPros out there, they're gonna use them. I got one more question for me, man. Then I'll let Lex ask one more question because we're about 2 hours and everything. Yeah, man, it's good. I got a ton more, but I got a bunch here, man.
I know
we can do another one later.
Yeah, we definitely can, man.
Yeah, I'm like when I used to work for the railroad, I was a conductor, and I hated people. Oh my God, you work for a railroad? Oh, trains, oh, trains. So that's why people don't know that I'm like that with planes. Because I don't want to annoy nobody. Like, hey, yo, oh my God, you're a fucking pilot, bro? Oh, dude, planes.
Yeah. So it's like, Lex, you made me think. You think about that? You probably seen that one video, Lex, where the guy. It was an older guy, and I think he's in Canada, and he heard the horn of a locomotive, and he's like, "Oh, this is a certain model," and the dude like he was ready to have an orgasm, dude, because it's this one. Dude, they never dropped this.
No, there were literally people like that. We called them foamers. They foamed at the mouth every time.
How do you tell the difference between that horn? That sounds like a regular horn to me. He knew exactly what model. And everything.
There's dudes that are like that. That's from a GE engine, a Dash 8. Yeah. They be knowing that shit because it's.
Well, I used to be able to identify airplanes by the sound back in Okinawa.
Yeah.
I used to fly over my house every day, so I was like, "Oh, that's a F4, and this is F15. No, that's a 2018." I mean, I could actually distinguish the engines.
Dudes would get on our traffic controller's website and look up trains and say, "Oh, this is a historic train that was in North Dakota at one time, and it went through blah blah blah, and they're leaving out of Richmond," and they would sit outside of tunnels and take hella photos.
Yeah.
One time we had to call the damn railroad police, be like, "Yo, this fucker won't get away from us. He's standing hella close to the rails," and we stopped the train, and he got arrested.
They do that every day here. Every day right now, if I go outside,
really?
they have a Lawson's or a Family Mart, and the runway the runway runs right over top of that, and also JEL shares that same runway. So Masawa is a 2-part, so JEL flies in and they go in their part, and then also so it's a two dual runway, and they have these big ass cameras, dude, like fucking
they do.
They can see the goddamn they can see the pilot's face when he's flying, man. So it's crazy. But my last question, man, because I got a pilot here, man. You know, what's your all-time favorite, or what would you say in your opinion is the all-time best like airplane movie, man? Top Gun for me, but you know I got my reasons why. So like,
best airplane movie for me?
Yeah.
I think Iron Eagle.
God, come on, dude. It's almost come on, dude. It's almost like
the reason I didn't grow up watching Top Gun.
Yeah.
Like I kind of watch it. I knew about it, but I was like Iron Eagle because that's flying to the canyon.
Snappy.
Top Gun. The reason I kind of stayed away from Top Gun growing up because Goose died, and it was like I didn't like seeing that.
Right.
So I was like, I just had this bad image of like I don't want to see him die all the time, you know. So like Iron Eagle was just like, you know, the dream. Your dad's an F-16 pilot. You go steal an airplane.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was perfect. Your story almost.
It was a fucking right. Yeah. The dopest scene of a pilot movie. Kid got his Walkman strapped to his leg, and he's just like.
Exactly. I used to fly my 152 with a little Walkman.
Yeah.
And what's scary is that what's his name? The actor, the black guy.
Louis Gossett.
Yeah. That guy is like my dad. Like I don't know if my dad tried to act like him a lot, but they're really similar.
Right.
They're like scary similar. I'm like, geez, you know, like it was scary, and that's why I kind of get memories every time I see him. He reminds me of my dad so much.
Right.
Like, I just love that movie.
Yeah, I had a feel it was gonna be Iron Eagle, man, because I watched it between. I think the most watched for me is Iron Eagle, Top Gun, oddly, and like Full Metal Jackets. It's like the movies that I don't care if it comes on, what I'm doing, dude. Like I watch it, like I actually read the BMX movie. I just like the certain movies, man, where it comes on and like you're just gonna watch it, or like how
you make time.
Yeah, you make time, man. So like that's definitely there.
Like all my kids, they watch Top Gun. They're all into it. You know, I let them watch it. They got to watch Iron Eagle, but I don't think they're into it as much as Top Gun is.
It's a new one. It's a new one. I heard rumors they're shooting a new one or not.
It's been
Top Gun out. Yeah, it's finished.
Yeah.
It's
not been.
Oh man, I hope they don't.
It was cool because in Reno they had the F-18 cockpit, and my girls sit in the cockpit of and it says Maverick on it from Top Gun 2. That they use, so they can have to play that.
Hope they don't mess.
He was
up,
super obsessed with it. He didn't want to put it out during the COVID thing. I want people to experience this in the theaters. Then they had it all filmed. They took it to some Comic-Con type convention. It wasn't Comic-Con, but he played 14 minutes or something of it, and people were kind of like, "That's kind of corny." But he's like, "Oh, hell no." Nah. So they went back to the drum boards, cutting shit. They've got so much filmed for it.
It's gonna be it's difficult. It's this one of those movies where it's difficult to you got all these guys at my age that are going to be expecting a certain thing, and it's like it just doesn't hit the mark. The sequels, they don't.
Well,
I think that's the problem. Is like you're trying to make something better than part one, and it's hard to top. You know, and you can't. You're never going to top it with part two. And as long as it's been dragged out so long, you're never going to top it.
Oh,
you know,
what 84 or 85, 80, not 84, like 86 or something, right? Yeah, it's 2000. It's going to be 2023.
It's kind of similar to the what's the recent one that came out, Lex? The goddamn Coming to America 2. Well, it was like a nostalgia thing. I watched it. It was like I watched it unbiasedly. the beginning, I'm like, dude, come on, bro. Like the virtual signal
Yeah.
in the beginning of the movie.
I looked at my wife.
Yeah.
I said, what the fuck was they doing?
Yeah. So it was Wesley Snipes kind of made the movie cool, but yeah.
Yeah, he was amazing. Yeah. But see, here's what Top Gun can do. If you're just looking at it, like not to break it down, like to just enjoy it, what they said they did to make the visuals be as dramatic as can be, literally flying high G's, literally being in, they make it look like he's in the front seat, but he's in the back seat of an F-15 of an F-18. So they're making it look like that, but dude, they're role playing everything, like they're pulling the stick and doing everything and looking through all the motions, and he wanted that to be on purpose. So when you look through it, bro, you're not about to pull 8 G's chilling. Your fucking eye sockets are gonna go like this, and your shit's gonna distort. You be in there breathing crazy, and he wanted that actual drama in it. So that's gonna be tight as hell. Yeah, they're have to mix some CG in. Yeah, we know there's gonna be some fake ass shit that's gonna happen. Like if you think about it, me as a kid watching Top Gun when they went canopy to canopy. Me as a kid,
watching as an adult, you did see the frame rates, yeah. Well,
we could see that now that we could tell.
Yeah. That's true. I watched the recent. I was like, man, you can tell it's, yeah.
My thought process, how I was thinking was, they're too close. Their uprights are gonna hit, like their tails are gonna hit. That's as a kid. 86, 5 at that point, right? But that was my thought. I was like, hell no, they can't be that close. The planes are getting hit, right? But if you get that out of there, if we watch Top Gun now, we'll be like, hell no. That's not how that works. And, and everything. And we know F-14s were very prone to engines stalling out or flaming out or shutting off, right? So, that's real. How the hell he does a flat spin from the desert to the ocean? It's shit like that.
You just pointed out to me. I didn't even take that into account. I'm 38.
Yeah, they're over the desert. I was in there in the ocean.
You can't think of that. But there's certain things that do happen. There's certain things that don't happen. But when you look at it and be like, yeah, this is a dope ass complete movie. That's cool. And that's what this one's gonna be. It's like, all right, there's gonna be some stuff like, if you just watch the long extended trailer when the they're flying formation wing to wing, and he fucking flies right between them, and the plane just like they just got hit by something. It's just like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the guy that I mentioned the pilot that I mentioned I took out for the drive. He actually did some. He couldn't talk about it obviously, but he did some stuff with it. I don't know what he did, but then it was great, like the amount of people that I was connected to that actually had something to do with it, versus coordinating or something like that. It was kind of crazy, man. So excited to see it, man. Again, man, Tommy, man, I don't want to hold you up. We definitely do this again. It's been, again, man, we talked on and off over the years, and I just want to say from me to you, man, you were one of the guys when I started, like, 03 is when I got into it, but 2007 is when I stopped becoming a poser, because before that time I was doing J turns in the high school lots, and 2007 was when I did my first event at Old Dominion Speedway, Manassas, and it kind of just it went from there, man. So you guys were definitely one of the you say you came in a little bit later, but you're still OG, man. You're still in the first wave of the drifters.
Yeah, because you got to think about it. US first gen is 03, 04.
03, and like you said, 97, 90, the JR and all those guys, they were the first ones at 97, 98, 99. They start getting the VHSs and, all those guys, man. It's Casper Knurl, Alex Pfeiffer, Wong, all those dudes, man. So, man, you're definitely, you might don't feel it, man, or it's probably weird to be called an OG because you feel old. But, man, it's a good thing to me, man. Yeah.
So I only have one request, man. When we gonna drive? That's my goal, man. With all the homies, you know what I mean? Especially everybody in this Western region. I love, like, dude, I drive with Alex Pfeiffer every chance I get. tell him to get his grumpy ass out the house. Every I get your ass out here and let's go drive. So like it would just be for me. That's like bucket list shit. Like, man, let me get to drive with dudes I've always looked up to. So, you know.
Yeah, it's weird because like, you know, I got the Chaser. I went to my first drift event. I brought it out with the, you know, brought it out to go slide it, and like, it's a totally new younger generation. None of them knew who I was or what I did. You know,
it's like, hey, I'm Tommy.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, I used to like. It's funny because like now I see like these new pro 2 guys, or you know, I was like, oh, or even pros like, you know, like freaking Odie, you know. I used to judge his drift. That, you know, he used to come to our biggest drift, and I used to judge him at their programs, you know, like Odie and Matt, a lot of the guys, you know. I mean,
yeah, that is crazy. That's crazy that a lot of the guys, like, it is not. I said it one time. It sounded kind of negative when I was talking about the new guys, because I had a guy on the podcast and he didn't like know who certain guys was, and it's like they didn't know Japanese guys, and what he said was, and it's weird because again I'm 38. They actually grew up watching 2000, like when Tanner Faust was winning. They were like 7 years old, so that's all they know is U.S. drifting, and it's cool.
Yeah,
I asked him about like, you know, Tanaka, or you know, whatever, any name you could throw out there from the old school days, and he was like, "Fuck, who's that? Tanaka?"
Yeah,
and I'm like, Tanaka's the guy. He's your favorite drifter's favorite drifter. You know what I'm saying? Like that's you know what I mean? Like the team, like it's crazy that we grew up in this thing so long that, you know, now
I guess they have enough.
Yeah,
the guys. Yeah, the younger generation, we're looking at like Tanner Faust and all them.
Yeah,
which is funny because like he's a pilot now. He's flying around and he's plane, and you know, he comes out to Vegas. I throw him in the Eagle. We go spin around and shit. That's you know, dope. So.
Yeah, and that's like remember it was funny because the autoplay played the episode that I was telling you, Donnie, about when we were in the pits of Sonoma. I'm just talking, Alex and I are talking, and this kid walks up and he's like, talking to me about something, and then he's like, oh, who has the, because Alex drives a SC 400 2J swap now, right? And he's like, oh yeah, I was trying to chase you, and man, you were kind of fast. And I'm sitting there and I'm just grinning. Fast kid, don't know who he talking to. And I'm looking at Alex, and Alex is just sitting there smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer. And I'm looking at dude, and I'm just looking back and forth, like, yo, you don't know who you're talking to, huh?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh. I was like, you watched Formula D? Yeah, I did. I was like, what years did you used to watch it? And he said years. And I said, did you ever see this car? And he's like, yeah. It's like, that's him.
Yeah, RSR, yeah.
Oh, really? I'm like, but that's my thing. I like to bring the old guard in and mix them up at Sonoma. Like, that's just my favorite thing to do. A lot of people be like, why you don't drive all the time? Because I like to, hey, come here. Hey, you come here. You know, you guys meet each other. You know, I like to do that kind of shit. Most of the time, though, some of the young dudes, they got an ego to them. And I just be like, I just be like,
you gotta blame my car off. You got to blame the LS and the Weiss Fab kits, man. But
I see kids like that, and then I'll be like, all right, I'll pull my car off the trailer and line up right behind them, and then just fuck, whop, and then they be like, what the fuck is going on with that car? And then it's like, oh, that's dude. And then they walk past me like 4 or 5 times, but then then it's, oh, what's in that thing? Nothing. It's a rotary, man. It's slow.
I guess that's maturity, man, because like I'm pretty sure it probably happened to you, Tommy, man, and you can share a story if you want, but it happened to me recently again with the business. I've been away for 5 years, and I go to my local track, and we're in it, so we don't really realize there's other humans growing up right under us. And I go to the track, and there's all these new guys that are like 21, 23, 24, and when I got here 14 years ago, they were what, 12, 11, you know, whatever. So they were wanting to drift, and now they're drifting, and I go to the track, and they don't follow my YouTube. They don't really know who I am, so they'll be like, who is this black dude with the mohawk or whatever? And I don't say nothing like I did this and I did that. I just kind of like go out there and drive, and then when I come back, then they all come around me and, oh, we just thought you were like a regular Gaijin from base. I'm like, yeah, I'm Gaijin, but I was at the track 4 days a week when you were still like in elementary school. So it was, and it's, you don't forget that you get rusty. I know you, man. Tom, you get a few laps. I know you can compete right now if you want to. You get a few laps in, and then you're right back in it. You just don't forget that.
Oh yeah.
You don't forget that. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but you know, it's like kind of Mike Tyson boxing. He slows down, but he still can box. He still knows the combos. He still knows that he's going to fight Logan Paul, opposed whatever, or spar. It's not a fight; it's a spar, and all that stuff. So you never forget those synapses in your brain. They just maybe slow down a little bit, but you never forget it. But that's crazy, man. But Alex, you still there?
Yeah, well,
I'm in.
I'm gonna kill it with the Storm Chaser, so everybody's gonna be like, "Where the hell
Storm
this guy
Chaser,
goes?"
yeah.
And it looks so damn good. I know they don't see it in the background.
Yeah, bro.
But it looks so damn
good. The Chaser has. I'm working on JZX. I'm doing an LS swap on a JZX 110 right now, and the first in Japan, and all that stuff. And the Chaser, man, the steering is the steering ratio. It's just so smooth for a car that big. You sit in it and the wheel just spins, and it's just like. You ever driven a Chaser before, Lexus, or any JZX 190 or 100?
No, I've wanted to,
bro.
Every time I go to an event and my homies have one, I be looking like
it feels.
Please,
it feels. But I be like, for a car that big,
so smooth.
Yeah, for a car that big, it's smooth, it's nimble.
I've driven an IS 300, and I know it's totally different, but I've driven an IS GS. The IS feels so good, and the dude had stock knuckles on it. And I was like, damn, this thing has steering angle and whatever. And it's like, oh, well, it's stock. He just had a 2J in it with some power. And I was like, oh, man. So that's what makes me want to drive one of those even more, because it's like longer wheelbase, a little bit more planted.
Like a boat. It's slow motion.
Yeah.
It's reactive. It's quick. You know, it's just like, it just goes. I can't wait to get this thing dialed in, because like it's gonna. I need more power.
And you're super meticulous. What, you just started tearing it all apart, and just while I'm under here, let me just take some more shit out, huh?
Yeah. Well, I ordered a Cusco cage from Japan. It won't probably be here till December, because it's freaking taking forever. So I'm waiting for that.
Yeah.
I guess it was like 30-day order to make it, and then they're gonna DHL it. That thing cost me like $2,000. So I was like, fuck it, whatever, because I'm not gonna build a custom cage for this and mess up the interior, you know. So I wanted to keep it still fresh looking. So I just forked up the money and bought a Cusco bolt-in and I keep the back seats in there so the kids can sit in the back, because they love driving around in this car. I got 3 seatbelts back there. It's perfect for the 3 girls, and they're like all latched in. They're fighting about who gets to sit behind me or not, you know. Like, they love it when I go fast. They get the gigglies, and they love the horsepower. I mean, they're just all into it. They can't wait to like drive the Corolla.
Perfect family car right there, man.
It is. Yeah.
It's a perfect family car, man.
Exactly. We go cruising down the strip, you know. I mean, we got the kids in the back. We showed up to some car meets, and like we're like the only chaser out there. So
how many
people that know?
Hey, go ahead.
What wheels are on that?
GMR. Yeah, they're pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. There's like about a 12J just looking at that picture from right there.
No, it's 10.5, but the offset's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, because look, it's over fender, so it's widened.
Yeah.
So those, they're sitting real nice.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
They struggling. That thing sound like, that's baller.
Yeah,
God damn,
boy.
man.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, that car all put together. Good God. When I saw those pictures, I said, "Oh man." Oh.
Yeah. Dude, how many offers have you gotten for the Chaser so far, man, to date? People just like, hey man, I'll give you like $15K for it. Like, yeah, no, man.
I haven't had any. I had a. Well, yeah. There's this like kid with like an R30 or 2 like 4-door, like all barreled up, and he's like, yeah, I wanted that car. Yeah, if you ever think about selling it, let me know. I was like, I don't think I'm getting rid of it anytime soon.
Dude, like, you know, like a GX. I just got a GX 100 shell, but a GX 100, you know, what's the 1G FE, 1G whatever. The base model Chasers are going for like 6-7K right now. Like,
wow.
I'm talking about the base models. Now you get into like the Toro V automatic, the 1JZ VVTi. Those are like 15, 13, 15. It's crazy, man.
I never ever thought in the world I would own a 100 because like growing up in Japan back in '95.
Oh yeah.
It was all about the like Mark II. I loved the Mark II 90s. That was like
that's the best
at the time.
Right? Best, yeah.
And I was like, all I knew was 90s, and then by the time these were brand new. No one was fixing one street yet, right? They're like just came out, right? So I wasn't like that was like untouchable for me. I couldn't afford that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like the 90s, like coming out with the Mark IIs, and everybody started buying those, and a lot of them were automatic, but they're still 4Vs, and they had this like unique fart sound when they shifted gears.
Yeah,
It was kind of I don't know if you ever heard of it. But yeah, I always liked the Mark II 90, but then I came across this one for sale, and I was like, oh shit, it's 100. But I wasn't really a fan of the older chasers, but like the 100 chaser kind of looked a lot better.
Yeah.
I like the 90 Mark II with the sharp lights. I didn't like 90 chaser at all.
The Mark II is definitely the. I had a Cresta. That thing took 7 months to sell. If it was a Mark II, it'd be gone in a week. And the chaser is kind of like the Mark 90s got to be Mark II. The JX81, I like those, and then the I like Mark II was cool, and then for the 100s, I like.
My dad.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, like my dad, his daily driver was a Mark II. It was like a 71 or something. That really old boxy. That was his daily driver, just regular Mark II, and we had a Leopard as well.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah. You can't find those.
And because it was like a two-door.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a Leopard, we had the Mark II, and it was just like, and it was really to drive, and hell, I was probably like 10 years old when I was fucking around with it, So, but it's like.
So, well, you say we said you
we had the Town Ace van as well, huh?
Yeah, you said your dad had the Mark II, man. So he did have cars, but he wasn't like passing.
Yeah, but back then, on base, it was just like a $500 Mark II car.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's like my dad. My dad always had all these Mustangs, but he was never like a car dude. Like his favorite car was a Mustang, but he just had. I just got a Mustang and a sick ass fucking Ram Charger and all it, but it's just like to him, man. I just picked it up for like
airplanes is what's filling his mind. That's why.
Well, he's and it's funny that I'm in this line of work now. He was a telecom. He set up Pac Bell and pagers. That's why I always had a pager as a kid. People be like, "Yeah, garage door opener," because my pops could sit at his laptop, type out a message. Because he's working, and then I get a message after school, do this, that, and I'll be like, all right, cool. Hey, you got a garage door opener. Now everybody started walking around with big ass time ports, and I said, look at y'all looking like dorks now. And it was just like he got out of the planes and went into telecommunications, and he just had stuff, and like I said, he was like, oh, you want a dirt bike or a go-kart? And I was like, oh, give me a dirt bike. So I was like, shit, I should have. Now I'm thinking I should have went with a go-kart. Who knew what I would have been doing?
Lewis Hamilton, man.
Yeah. But, dude, I'm super happy that you're living your life how you want to. Super happy that you're being an awesome dad. Like, really, that's part of what my motivation is with my son. Just like, because it's always the uncle or the big cousin that lets your kids do all the cool shit, right? But, dad's cool as fuck, too, We got you. We got you. Hey, I always tell my son, it's like, I don't want nobody being the coolest influence to you outside of me. Like, now I got to, and I have a little girl. And it's so funny. She's riding the Zuma, and I just sit back, and she does the throttle and rides us all over the place. And people be like, "Is your daughter riding a motorcycle?" Like, no, it's a scooter, but she's doing it. And they're like, "Aren't you afraid?" No, she takes baby a little bit of throttle. She do a little bit of throttle. Okay, release. She backs out. Slow us down. And this is like kids. We have to, as parents, or public, because public that don't have kids, it's kind of like when public look at motorcycle riders. Oh my God, you guys are so dangerous. No, not really, but we're very calculated, right? People that don't have kids don't understand how brilliant kids are. And through our fears and society's fears makes them stupider and timider and stupider and timider. You don't allow that to affect them and allow them to flourish and courage and everything. bro, they do so much shit because they can accept that information, and it's just been so cool watching you do your thing and making your way back to cars and being a pilot and just all the dope shit, dude. So I'm like, giving you your flowers. I'm like super thumbs up over here. I lurk a lot. I know a lot of people be like, boy, how you be on Instagram, don't never like nobody's shit. I don't, but I look at everything. You know what I mean? So I'm watching that everybody be doing, and like, dude, I'm happy for you, bro.
Thank you.
I'm super happy for you.
I'm happy too. I mean, like, couldn't ask for more. I mean, a lot of it's the family. As long as the family's there to back it up. 100%. My wife, she appreciates and she supports everything, in the background. When I'm working, she's watching the kids and keeping them, and then the kids are, I guess they pretty much admire me, so they look up to me. So, and I give back to them, and normally you want to throw an 8-year-old in a freaking 750-pound car that can go 80 miles an hour into a wall, you know. But you gotta teach them and let them do it, You let your kids live in fear. You're in fear. You know what I mean?
And you got 3 girls, right?
I have 4.
4?
Technically.
Okay. So yeah,
3 of them that are with me. Yeah. Ex-wife has 1.
Got you.
That's a whole new drama. That's sort of funny because she was all in the car. We were on cars. I bought her 240, made it silly.
Mako-chan.
Purple. Yeah.
Impact blue. So you got these 4. So reason I asked that, man, is you got 4 girls, man. They say like, dudes who have all girls, man, had a lot of girlfriends back in the day, man. So
he was ladies, man.
You were active.
Yeah. No, honestly, I didn't have that kind of a relationship or much of a relationship growing up in Japan because I was so busy with all these activities.
Right. Yeah.
I was either too busy working in my car, flying airplanes, or jumping off the cliff with my paraglider.
Yeah.
I was just above and beyond. When I went to school, I would think airplanes and talk airplanes, where the other kids are like, "Oh, he's the weird kid." He's the only one. He's the only one that does that. Like I was the oddball out.
Yeah.
That's how I grew up, and I didn't really have much of a relationship till I pretty much got to college.
Yeah, but that's a good thing, man. Because I think we just all 4th time wrapping it up, but it's like my guys, my kids, man. I just want to. My wife's want to do the typical Japanese thing, which is get a violin, do the piano. I'm like, yeah, that's cool because I make music, stuff, and that's cool. But I'm like, dude, I'm gonna put them when they're gonna be in jiu-jitsu, judo, car racing. I'm gonna show them to different things, and that way they kind of they can pick what they want to do. I'm gonna just pass down the skills, but it's like, I'm raising them a little bit different because from hearing your story about being a half-breed middle school, and that's kind of common because that's when all the kids are really forming their identity, kind of. And I'm like, dude, we can't be around them all the time, so they're gonna get picked on. They're gonna be half-breed this.
No, they're gonna get bullied.
It's gonna
happen. They're gonna be called,
Yeah, and I'm like, I just want to make them as strong as possible to like, hey man, after school I'm gonna ride dirt bikes. After school I'm gonna ride go-karts. And you're gonna go home and do whatever you're gonna do with your dad that doesn't pay attention to you, because the Japanese culture where the guys kind of work to death, and they provide, but they're not really there. And my business, I close at 1600 every day. I don't care what's going on. I'm not gonna be that guy who's providing but not home and not watching them grow up and stuff. And there's gonna be times where we can't be home. Of course, naturally, we all have been there, but I want to be home as much as possible and see them grow up, because they grow. I can't believe how fast my 5-year-old is like this tall now, and they learning everything, and they know. I didn't teach them about cars. They just RX-7, Skyline. They know the difference, and they don't like Subarus for some reason. It's like
they don't like Subarus.
My wife don't like Subarus.
Right, because they sound bad.
Yeah. They say Udasai or Udasai car or
Udasai because they sound horrible.
That or they say I take them to see cars and like Kakuya Janai. I'm like, dude, it's a car. They know the difference between an ugly car and a cool car. And it's like, how the fuck do you know the difference between a beat up Skyline and a nice Mark II or something like that? It's like they know that, so they don't want to see. They want to see cool cars that drift and do all that stuff. They don't like shorts. They don't like missiles. They don't like beat up.
Yeah.
They don't like.
Well, good, because I think that's something that this generation under us got fucked up.
Yeah.
Missiles was never cool.
Well, that's
They
the
were
what.
practice.
Look, that's the
We
one.
didn't
That's
have
the
missiles when I was
Yeah.
growing up, man.
yeah. That's the ones
We
that.
didn't have missiles.
Yeah.
No,
You had one car
But-
that was nice. Yeah.
yeah, and then yeah. Well, how I was taught, this might be your only car because it's all you can afford. But if you mess up, fix that thing.
Yeah.
Have some couth about yourself. Not this. Hey, this is all I got, and I beat it up, and this is what I can. Well, okay.
Yeah.
That's the thing about drifting. Drifting is so all inclusive that everybody thinks they should have a go in it. Car be dangerous as shit. Like, yo, what if you crash into me with that and your whole rear quarter panel don't exist, and now it's just a damn knife, and you just backed your car into me, came through my window, stabbed me in my some Final Destination shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think our kids, like my son, it's no, sir. You mess it up, you sit at home,
Yeah.
buy your arrow, paint
Yeah.
it, and then
Duct tape at the event is acceptable to put your bumper back on, but as soon as the event's over, you should get
As soon as
that.
the event's over.
And fiberglass is
Yep.
like, you know, you get a whole. I don't know if you, Tommy, you've probably been away so long. You can get an Origin kit over here for like $300.
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole front, back, sides, everything. $300.
Yeah.
It don't fit. It fit like shit, but you know what I mean, you don't have to zip. You don't have to zip tie back together every event and add tape to it and all the tricks you got to do, man. But hey, Tommy, man, again, brother, it's been a great time talking to you, man.
Yeah,
Definitely, I always follow your channel, so definitely, and it's Plain Junkies, correct? Your YouTube.
Yeah.
So Plain
Plain
Junkies,
Junkies.
Plain Junkies, you guys should check out.
I'll be uploading some content on the Chaser on Plain Junkies too. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. To put that stuff in there, guys, check that out. Of course, Lex at KOE Family, check out his stuff, and then also, guys, like I say, the guys who want to be on the podcast or whatever, or drop some questions, podcast@PinkuStar.com, and throw it in there. And again, I hope you guys from this time here is a great time talking. Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
like,
Yeah,
now
it's
let
like-
him- I got an idea. Here's an idea. I got a great idea. Y'all finish the podcast out speaking purely Japanese.
Well, Tommy speaks way more.
Wait. Let me turn the lights on.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be
Yeah.
cool as hell. Y'all finish it
Yeah.
out speaking purely Japanese, and I'm gonna sit here and be like, "What?"
Yeah. Well, he speaks way more Japanese to me,
You
so
know, I guess
I'll say my limited Japanese. So I'll be arigato Tommy-san, to gambatte JZX shaku maru shaku to Bill gambatte.
いや、これ。ありがとう。今からよろしく、トミーです。JZX 飛躍のチェイサー復活するだから、ちゃんと見てください。プレインジャンキーズの YouTube の番組のチャンネルでサブスクライブして、コメント、like.
Arigato. And everybody out there, Oppai
That's
Suki
so
desu.
cool.
Yeah. I just sound like tits, Alex. So it's like,
Oh, bye.
all right, cool. All right, later, guys.
Yeah.
All right, hey guys, gonna be dying signing off with Solid
out.
Japan. Tommy from Vegas and Lex in California, Richmond, California, VA, CA, not VA. I'm gonna say VA.
He ain't not.
We'll see you guys later. Peace.